Here from Hranich Abyss, the deepest flooded pit cave in the world. It is a karst sinkhole in the town of Hranich, Czech Republic, not Czechoslovakia. We are here today with episode number 17 of the PondCast, our weekly wrap up news and other stuff show coming at you here today. I am, of course, alive, Yaku of the Zaku, and with me today is El Loco que tiene muchos stands, like underscore VIP, and we are as ever produced by Tenji Bofa Kitore Washington Toshito Nova Sofe Kuro 16 squad
Banned, fired,
Senseki.
gone, never again on stream.
Senseki. How we doing?
What's up, Yaku? It's great to be back here for
Alright.
another week of the podcast. Good.
Yes. The story there is that I realized I forgot to put in something in Google Translate as we were doing our final minutes of the pre-show.
Okay,
So I
okay.
had to
So it was,
scramble for the first thing that came to
it was-
mind. And the first thing that came to mind was the first thing that came out of our mouths.
it was beautiful. It was beautiful, Yaku. It was beautiful. But welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. As Yaku did mention, of course, we're here with another episode of the PondCast. And Yaku, there has been a lot going on this week in StarCraft.
Yeah, a lot more than I was able to keep up with. Not gonna lie, but yeah, we got some
Mhm.
huge things. We got some, a couple of our larger kind of major events concluding. Some of them still on the way, and also quite a lot of news coming down for both StarCraft itself as well as a couple of our players.
Oh yeah, exactly. A lot of news in and around StarCraft. Let's just jump right on into it as well, just because there's a lot of topics, or there's a lot to just go over. The first one is, it's exciting, I guess, in a way. It's nice. It's not the biggest of deals, but StarCraft, as well as StarCraft or SE2 and StarCraft Remastered, they have been released on Game Pass, or at least they're going to release on Game Pass November 5th, next month.
Yeah, about a month from now. Specifically the PC Game Pass, although I'm pretty sure if you own the Xbox Game Pass, you also have access to the PC Game Pass.
Mhm.
That was an important clarification for me, and I'm glad that they actually did point that out, or Microsoft did point that out, because I was wondering,
Mhm.
you're gonna be playing with a controller on Xbox?
I mean,
I know it's possible, but it's
Yeah.
not optimal.
Yeah, I've played RTSs on Xbox before. It was Battlefield Middle-earth, the Lord of the Rings RTS. That was on Xbox. Of course, Halo Wars, and I think Red Alert. I think Red Alert was on Xbox as well. So it's been done before, but Rick, as you did mention, it is going to be on PC. Just a nice way to kind of spread the game and get more people involved.
And of course, let's not forget StarCraft 64, back when your controllers
True.
only had one joystick.
We didn't talk about StarCraft 64. We didn't. Oh god. So yeah, that's
But-
the first kind of.
But yeah, this is a really cool way of getting people, like you said, into this. Obviously, I know multiplayer for StarCraft 2 is free, but the campaigns obviously aren't. And I believe that through the Game Pass, it goes also, if co-op is something you're interested in, then that's going to be giving you access to not all of the co-op commanders, but about half of them, from what I remember.
Yeah.
Basically,
Again, it's
the
just
ones that you get if you purchase Legacy of the Void.
For sure. Like, it's nice it's a nice way to kind of get the game in front of a bunch of people that maybe never have played before, maybe are interested in the universe and are willing to dabble in some StarCraft. So yeah, it's a nice little thing on the horizon. Moving on, though, we do have, I guess, a big event coming up. We spoke a couple weeks ago about the next DreamHack and the next potential season of SE2. We did write off Atlanta just because Atlanta was too soon and we're still in the off season, so we just assumed that there wasn't going to be any StarCraft there, and there is no kind of premier StarCraft event, but at least there is a BYOC.
Indeed, a BIOC, if you will. Bring your own computer. I almost
Yeah.
said bring your own PC, but I had to remember what the C in PC stood for.
Yeah, so there's going to be a BYOC. I mean, there always is. For those who are unaware, there's always a BYOC at the DreamHack event, but usually because there's a premier event going on. I think the BYOC is in day 2. So basically the players that get knocked out early on in the StarCraft 2 main event, they usually just like hop on over and they play in the BYOC as well. Which is kind of a weird kind of cross-pollination that usually happens. But because there's no big premier event, it does mean that it's most likely going to be mainly like a local tournament from the local player base, from the NA player base of those that are going.
Yeah. I can't imagine, players from Korea, Europe would fly down to Atlanta just for this thing where they have to haul their PC over and they have to, and it's for a $2,500 prize pool. But like we said, it's pretty cool to see it happening, and it's still very, very exciting for the NA region. I remember it being a lot of fun last year when it did happen.
Yeah, I do hope that it gets casted or covered in some way. I know last year, I think Sal, he was streaming his POV, and I think he was like, trying to cover some of what was going on in the BYOC because there was no like official coverage. So hopefully, whether it's Sal, whether it's the StarCraft historian, I hope that there's some kind of footage from the event itself, just so we can get a glimpse of what's going on at DreamHack.
Yeah, what's going on around there when what's going on at DreamHack with all these tournaments that aren't StarCraft, but still.
Yeah. So, hey, if you happen to be local to the area, if you happen to be going to DreamHack Atlanta, or if you want a reason to go to DreamHack Atlanta, then the BYOC could definitely be one, especially considering that, depending on who does travel, you could actually place quite highly as well. There's still a lot of talent in the Americas, with players like Epic and Vindicta and Dolan, for example, and I'm sure many others that are going to be heading over to this event. There's still, a nice chance at competing, placing well, or even just, even just like being a part of the community of StarCraft.
Yeah. I had a little bit of a breakdown in the middle of that as I realized that we're now in October. And so this is actually going to be tomorrow or 2 days from now, depending on how you want to look at the time zone. So I'm only now realizing that. I was like, October. That's still like a couple weeks away.
No.
Oh, no.
So now's the time to book your flight, so drive down as it's going to be tomorrow. Crazy.
There we go.
But with that is, of course, DreamHack Atlanta. That's this weekend. Scrolling on over, we have a lot of roster changes. Now, we were expecting this, especially because now WTL is in an off-season, EPT's in an off-season. So there are going to be a bunch of roster changes and roster switches. One of the big ones here is, of course, Platinum Heroes.
Yeah, Platinum Heroes. They did, they did go above and beyond when it came to their picking up of players for the most recent season of WTL, and they were able to do quite well this season as well. But at the same time, it seems like there might have been a little bit of oversigning. There were a couple of players who got signed to Platinum Heroes that just weren't actually able to make a debut, especially since they joined a little bit later into the season. But now we can, now that we are in the off season, we can get like you said, a bit more of a couple of roster changes that kind of make sense.
Yeah, so this is interesting just because, as you were alluding to, the Platinum Heroes, I would say they're probably one of, if not the biggest pro team in SC2 at the moment, or at least they were,
in terms of
because their roster was huge. And a big reason for that was the most recent season of WTL. Before that, they still had a pretty big roster, don't get me wrong, but it was like half the size. And for the last season of WTL, for whatever reason, like their team decided they want to go hard at it. They want to try as best as possible, and they basically signed an entire new roster. like they signed
anybody who was teamless, who showed who was active on any level. They said, "All right, we need you just in case."
Yes, and they signed a lot of players from Eastern Europe. They signed Wayne, they signed Nickrat, not Wayne. They signed Nickrat, they signed Young Yakov, Nikic as well. Like they signed they signed the other art. They had the Polish art for a long time, but then they signed the other art as well. They signed so many players. And I mean, they did well for themselves. They did better than the previous season of WTL. And they even had a large enough roster to field 2 teams. If you remember, they kind of split off. They made Platinum Esports as
Right.
well.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, like,
The A team, the B team. So
yeah, and I was also curious myself as to how long this would last and whether they were maybe a little bit bloated and if they were gonna, like, try to kind of thin themselves out or refine themselves in a way. And it looks like that may have come to a head here, just because a lot of players seem to have left the Platinum Heroes in consecutive order, or just recently even.
Yeah. Part of it is, I have to imagine a part of it is also just, I mean, we're talking a little bit about now that now us being in the off season, but also, I mean, it's towards the end of the year now. We're coming into October. That's close to the end of the year, and so yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised if a lot of these players just decided, okay, we want to. A lot of these players, especially the ones who are, I would say, more on the semi-pro level as opposed to full-time professional, are thinking of taking a step back and prioritizing prioritizing other things, such as the first player who we have here leaving the roster, Young Yakov, mentioning that he will be taking a step back from competitive play, if I interpreted this correctly.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because I would say that young Yakov, I mean, we've even been speaking about him quite highly in these past couple of weeks when it comes to, even last week. Like, we spoke about how he was on hiatus, and a couple of months ago, or really the most of this year at this point, he did return to the game, and he's been doing really well. So for him to leave Platinum Heroes now feels a little bit weird. From my understanding, as you mentioned, he is planning on staying teamless, at least for a little bit, but clearly has plans to return to competitive play. He did say that he wants to, focus on the next season of EPT, but I guess maybe he's just taking like a season off, or like a break from that sort of stuff.
Yeah, makes sense. As he says so over here, I want to say that I plan to play full time. So it really does depend on the future of StarCraft esports coming down here. For Young Yakov, at least.
Definitely. So we'll catch up with some of those other players. Another big one. Honestly, one that really caught me off guard was Solar. Solar, he's been a part of Onside and Team Vitality for a very long time, and Solar is now also currently teamless.
I mean, he was one of the first players on Onside Esports when they originally formed. It was him, Maru, and Neeb who formed the original trilogy there. And now he's leaving. Still going to be a fan of Team Vitality, obviously. It's hard not to be when you have the Tuna Man himself on it, and Gemini doing social medias on it. But yeah, this is a pretty massive surprise to me. Like you were saying, I kind of thought that Sola would... it's not just that he was on here for a very long time, but it's also that he was... I'm not sure if a pillar is the right word to use here, but he was definitely one of the members of Team Vitality who I think got a lot more, like, what's the word I'm thinking of here, like exposure, so to speak. I mean, he's constantly getting videos made of him from Crank, constantly being interviewed by Crank and whatnot, and so yeah, it's kind of surprising to see him leave, and not because of military service or retirement. I mean, he is still looking for a new team.
Yeah, that's the thing that was most curious to me, is, as you mentioned, a couple things. One, Solar is one of the best players in the world. He was even the Serral Slayer, right? He did his part in that season of WTL where his team won, thanks to Solar, in big part for bringing Serral down. Solar, he was a GSO champion under the guise of Onside Gaming as well. That was less than a year ago at this point, back in last year, November. So Solar, he is a really good player. And clearly we're hearing that Solar isn't retiring. Like, he wants to compete. He wants to keep playing. He's looking for a team. So it's very odd to me that this occurred. I'm sure there's something else happening, maybe behind the scenes, maybe some contract disputes. I'm not too sure, but yeah, like something happened here, it feels. I don't know.
I mean, he seems to be leaving on friendly terms. I mean, he says he's
Yeah,
still a fan of them. So,
yeah.
my theory, hear me out. My theory is that he got word that they were planning to sign a Protoss player, and he did not want any part of that.
He's like, I did so much to make sure Neeb retired, and now you bring another Protoss on? Oh, no. Not like this, Pappy, not like this. So, yeah, potentially. Um, I mean, I'm sure Solar will find a team, assuming that there's StarCraft at EWC next year, and assuming that EWC do another similar thing like they did this year, where they have bonuses and they have incentives for teams being in multiple esports. Then I guarantee that Solar will be a part of a team coming into next year.
Yeah, that might be a big reason, because obviously Solar, he is, I would say right now, as of this announcement, the hottest free agent out there. He is straight up, with Dark going into the military next year, straight up the best Zerg player in Korea, and has been a top 3 Zerg player in the world for years at this point. So I wouldn't be surprised if, some of these other teams, like, say, I'm trying to remember other teams in esports. If Team Spirit, is Team Spirit still a thing? Something like that. If they decide, okay, we want the bounty, we want StarCraft to give us our bounty, let's pay Solar however much he's asking for. He's got a lot of leverage behind him, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, 100%. I'm sure that he will find a nice place to call home. So definitely wish Solar the best of luck. Definitely, as we're coming into our next year. It's also possible as well that maybe Team Vitality, they did just want to slim things down a little bit as well. Just because a big reason why you would want a team right now in StarCraft is WTL, and WTL is an off season, so it's like until WTL comes back, like they don't necessarily need a third player yet. But if it does come back, then yeah, I'm sure they will.
Yeah, I was going to dispute that. It was for WTL you need at least 3 players, but then one, as you were saying, they can afford to take this break, and then when SC Boy announces a new season, they can. Well, actually, I'm not sure about that, because I was going to say they can afford to take this little, like, slim down and try to, kind of tighten up the budget, and then when the next season is announced, they can sign another player. But with the Esports World Cup bounties, and with these teams clearly willing to pick up players at least for that season of the Esports World Cup, if WTL clashes with the Esports World Cup, I don't not necessarily the event itself, because I know that obviously they do schedule around those, but Vitality could be in a little bit of trouble when it comes to picking up a third player.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm pretty sure there were some teams that were looking for StarCraft players, and they just weren't enough of them. like a lot of the good ones were already they were already like grabbed. They were already taken.
Heroes.
Yeah, they were already taken by other teams. So I was like, oh no, like who's left, sort of thing. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens once the next season is announced. Once the next tournament.
Look, they can always force Craig to be fielded.
There you go.
Against his will.
Yeah, another thing that could be is something like military. Like clearly Solo's looking for a new team, but maybe he's looking for like a shorter contract, right? Like if military is coming up like next year, and if maybe if his military is like before the next EWC, which means he wouldn't be able to play in EWC, like that could be a factor. Like at this point, I'm just we don't know when his military is, but that's also a thing I was thinking of, is the fact that Solar is one of now the few Korean players that hasn't done military service yet.
Yeah, hasn't done military service yet. He's not that much younger than Dark, but also Solar's not a papi, so okay. I imagine that was a little bit of a consideration for Dark, or at least with the military for Dark.
For sure. So
they want to throw him to boot camp immediately.
We'll see what happens. Again, wish Solar the best of luck when it comes to looking for a new team. Scrolling down, speaking of a kind of a new team, we do have some news from Nightmare. Now, Nightmare has been a player that has been teamless for quite some time. He was on Bleed Esports, but Nightmare unfortunately did not make it into EWC, so his contract with Bleed Esports did come to an end. And this isn't necessarily Nightmare joining a new team. From my understanding, Nightmare is going to start streaming a little more regularly, because I don't think he has really been streaming too much. And this is kind of like a partnership to like promote his streaming platform and all this stuff.
Leading agency for artist management. Interesting. Yeah, this is. I think one of the very first times that we're seeing a professional, like a full-time pro, at least in StarCraft. I think it does exist. I think it does exist in like CS:GO from what I remember and Valorant. But the first time we're seeing a full-time pro in StarCraft also sign with a streaming kind of talent agency. I mean, in the past, we had a couple of streamers who were on agencies who were still pretty competitive. You know, M. Canning is probably the one that comes to mind, but M. Canning is more of a who will still.
Oh, glitch.
Nobody panic, we lost the echo.
Okay.
I can hear you. Hello, 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 hello.
Okay. Well, we did lose Yaka for a moment there, but I'm sure we're gonna get him back. It's oh. Can you hear us, Yaku?
Are we?
Okay,
Hello?
okay.
I
Yeah,
could
okay,
hear
you're
you that entire time. I could hear. I could hear what was going
It's
on.
all
I was
good.
like so weirded
Yeah.
out, but
Yeah, you were just a robot for a while there, but yeah, it's all good. It's all smooth now. It's all smooth.
nice. Yeah. We are.
But
What?
yeah, you were in the middle of talking about some like streamer like platforms, kind of like promoting players or
Right.
uh
Yeah, I think this is a first in StarCraft 2 where we have a full-time pro also signing on to like a to like a streamer's agency, or like a streaming talent agency like this.
Yeah. So it's definitely interesting to hear, and we'll see what comes of this as well. Now, thankfully, shout out to, I mean, I'm at the behest of Google Translate, but apparently, according to some of the replies on this tweet, there were actually people in Korean asking that specific question. They were like, hold up. It says, is this a team? Is this not a team? Like, what's going on? I think it's SE2 Ham on Twitter. I was asking that specifically, and Nightmare did respond saying that it was a team. So it sounded a little bit more ambiguous initially, but it looks like Nightmare is
Because
clarifying.
Because that is not how they are selling themselves, at least in the bio on Twitter.
Yeah,
Like, we're an agency for artist management and influencer marketing, and it's like, oh, so you're like a talent agency.
Yeah, so it's not as clear as I would have liked, but regardless, it sounds like
tweet
it
as well. Yeah, the tweet by Streamer Zone as well, and they are pretty vague. It's just we're excited to have him on, and we want to see him in action and whatnot. So a little bit could have been a little clearer. Is all I'm saying, Mr. Streamer influencer marketing people, working in marketing.
Regardless, happy to hear that Nightmare is getting some support again, just because he's such an amazing player and he's been deserving to be on a team for quite some time. So, shout out to Nightmare for finding a home, at least for the time being. Speaking of some other player transfers, we have Geralt. This was also shocking to me, just because I mean, I feel like there are a couple of players that have been on teams for so long that they just come hand in hand, and I can't remember the last time Geralt wasn't on Psystorm, and apparently they are parting ways.
Yeah, I mean, look at Wikipedia. The last time he was on Psystorm was in 2021, but with the caveat that was Team Exxon, which most of the players on Exxon migrated to Psystorm Gaming anyway.
Yeah, if you recall, they got acquired basically by Psystorm Gaming. So it's been quite some time. And I mean,
he was the captain or the de facto captain for a while there.
Yeah, exactly. For WTL, he was definitely leading the charge, and he's an amazing player. You know, we give a lot of praise to Geralt, especially in the online tournaments. He's been doing better and better. He is, I would say, one of the best Protoss players in Europe at the moment. So yeah, for Psystorm to end up dropping Geralt is again a little bit shocking to me because I feel like he's a part of the core of the team. Like when I think of Psystorm, I think of Geralt, I think of Max Pax. I feel like those two do represent Psystorm and have represented them for a long time. Behind them, I would have said Spirit, but Spirit is now, on Na'Vi.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy.
I mean, he's kind of there forever, right? I mean, Psystorm, Na'Vi, it's officially the name of the partnership there, but yeah, that's... I would just mirror that to you, and he is looking for a new team, so as mentioned here, retweets by anyone, any prospective team owners out there. Keep an eye out here for Geralt, a rising... Yeah, still kind of a rising talent there in Eastern Europe, and one of the titans of the Polish scene in particular.
100%. So I hope that Geralt finds a nice new home. Definitely deserving of it as well. So we'll keep an eye on Geralt and on any kind of aspiring teams out there where maybe he can find a new home. Scrolling down, we spoke earlier about the Platinum Heroes. Now we're back to Platinum Heroes. Earlier mentioned how they did end up dropping Young Yakov, or at least Young Yakov was going to just take some time off from competing, some time off from playing. Looks like for Jimmy did end up leaving the Platinum Heroes as well. But this is a little bit different just because for Jimmy, I feel like he's only been on Platinum Heroes for a couple of months. Like he's a new acquisition.
Yeah, for Jimmy was one of the players who got signed to Platinum Heroes like towards the end of the group stage in WTL, and didn't debut, hasn't played in WTL yet. So it feels a bit more of like, how's that old saying go? The most recent to arrive is the first one to get cut. It's pretty standard, I would say, and pretty standard, I would say, and also a little bit, and also something that does make a bit more sense for Jumi as well, as he is. I don't want to say that he is becoming more of a management guy, but he is stepping up a lot when it comes to things like creating his own tournaments and creating his own tournaments and funding his own events and stuff like that. So he is kind of he does seem to be trying to make his own way in a sense.
Yeah, he's branching out to be more than just a player, right? But more of a streamer, personality, content creator, like organizer. So definitely do wish for Jimmy the best when it comes to his new team. There are rumors going around that he left Platinum Heroes because he has already found a new team to join. I don't think there's any confirmation of that yet.
I want to say that, I mean, it's a bit more than rumors because that information actually comes from Tassat, who is from Platinum Heroes. So apparently that was what happened, where that Jumi left, and he will be joining a new team which will be announced very soon, I assume in the next days.
Yeah, so for next week, we'll have that announcement for you. We'll let you know exactly where Fujimi has found his new home, but he is switching teams, yet to be announced.
Yeah. The Jumi Potter team. He's going to form a new team with Geralt.
Yeah, with Geralt, there you go.
Geralt is there. Geralt Malfoy. Parting is retired now, and Trap is on a different team, but hey, he could convince them to come back in.
Now, you say Trap is on a different team. Maybe that's the team.
Oh.
just saying.
Maybe.
Could all come together.
Yeah. They would have trouble getting Gandalf Hearthstone though.
They will, but they'll figure it out. They'll form some kind of partnership with Shopify, I'm sure.
Shopify Gen.
Yeah.
Gen Shopify, there we go. Or Gen Rebellion. Rebellion G.
There you go, Rebellion G. So best of luck to Jimmy on his new team. And we also have Ageddon. Ageddon is going to be stepping back and will also no longer be a part of the Platinum Heroes. Ageddon is an interesting one just because he hasn't really been too active as some of the other upcoming Terran players. Like, definitely when I do think of the upcoming Terrans in the European region, I think, first and foremost, like Nickrat as of late, but also Battleby and Ageddon are not too far behind him, I feel. But again, he just hasn't been as active these past couple of months, I feel.
Yeah, unfortunately not. Has been playing in a lot of regional kind of things. Has been in, way back 2 years ago when Valencia was the thing. He was kind of one of the surprise wild cards to really come through there, and Yeah, it does kind of make sense. He's from that region, so
Mhm.
yeah, hasn't really been too active in recent months. So this isn't that much of a surprise, but we'll see how the future goes for him.
Yeah, definitely. I think what's interesting about this announcement is for some of the others. Oh wait, no, never mind. I was gonna say some of the others they do clarify that the player is looking for a team. The same is for Akedon. Akedon, he is in fact looking for a new team. So yeah, hopefully he does find a nice place to call home. He's definitely a deserving player to be a part of one of these big teams like Platinum Heroes or Berserker or Psystorm. So yeah, we might see some roster switches, some roster changes, and some of these teams that are dropping players might decide to pick him up. We'll see. I'm sure a lot of it is going to be determined on how active he wants to be. But Platinum Heroes did specify in their post that he was looking for a team.
Mm-hmm. So team owners out there looking for a Spanish player coming down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, go
There
for
you
it.
go.
I do feel like Akeron is probably the best player in all of Spain right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's definitely the strongest one there in the region. So I do wish I get on the best of luck. With that though, that is going to be the end of the roster changes, the roster switches. Now we can head on over into some big tournaments. Passion Craft Season 17 is on the horizon. It's of course a big event, a big amateur event, or kind of amateur event, I should specify. It used to be a little bit more regular. Nowadays, it is kind of a yearly event, and I believe the qualifiers are underway.
That they are. The first qualifier just wrapped out. Just wrapped up a couple of days ago, about a week ago. And we have a bunch of qualified. We have specifically 6 players coming down from there. We have 3 other qualifiers on the way, but yeah, that's gonna be happening later on.
Yeah,
You
it's
guys
still the early days of the tournament. For those that are curious, it's kind of a big open event. I say it's open event. It is MMR locked. That is why we did mention that it's more of like for amateur players. It is MMR locked to those that are below 5.5k MMR, which is low GM. So low GM players do typically kind of thrive in this environment. There are some notables that I did actually see as well. Players like Ryojin, who's the Bolivian Zerg player. I see Nihed as well from Hungary. So there are some more notable names
Gunner.
kind of sprinkled in.
Yeah, Gunner are a regular in our events.
Yeah, Gunner, Captain Fish, some of the more amateur players. So hey, if you're out there, if you're around this level, if you're around Masters to low GM, then it might be up your alley to take part and to compete in this.
I am. I was gonna say I am a little bit degen now.
Okay.
I'm looking
Okay.
at this. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Gonna step into the ring.
We'll see how it goes. The next qualifier is on October 12th, so
Mm-hmm. Okay.
13 for me, but so
We'll keep an eye out for
see
you.
what happens.
Let's go.
I might not be able to by then, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see. I mean, the event, again, is going to be taking place over the next couple of weeks when it comes to the qualifiers. And the event itself, the group stage at least, will be at the end of the month. So we'll keep you guys posted. We'll keep you guys updated when it comes to the qualified players and the progress of the tournament itself.
Yeah, this is going to be taking place a longer form event, shall we say.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's going to last all month long. I think even leading into November as well. So we keep you guys updated. Speaking of keeping you guys updated, we have the FSL Season 8.
And I have my update here.
Okay.
I forgot to ask Freedom if I can join in. That's my update. I forgot to show up at Freedom's doorstep and be like, "Hola, papi. I am your long lost son."
Oh no. Not like this.
The family. I can join the family league.
Oh no. Speaking of, it looks like we have. I'm still not 100% familiar with the format, but it looks like all the matches are played in the initial best of 7. Looks like pseudo WTL format. If they need to play out an ace match, they will. Otherwise, they'll just play out their regular assigned matches in best of 2s.
in best of twos, but also one additional best of two 2v2.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That used to be a bigger part of these like Korean pro leagues and team leagues was 2v2, and that kind of fell by the wayside.
Yeah. So I remember the last season of Nation Wars when they had that.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember there were questions. I remember there was like an in between segment for WTL SC Boy, and I think one of the fan questions was if they were going to have like a 2v2 portion in the next WTL, and they said they might consider it. They
Hmm.
F91 did say that. So yeah, it's definitely a fun part, and not just that, but especially with the most recent like TLMCs, that have also been like revitalizing the team map pool as well. Like suddenly, incorporating 2v2 here as like one of the series and one of the matches, like I can see it happening. It's a lot more viable now.
Yeah. I completely forgot that WTL did have that 2v2 tournament back in 2023 or
True.
2022 to 2023.
Yeah,
Ended in
yeah.
the best of 9. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was really fun seeing Cyril and Oliveira working together and being on comms together and stuff like that. I think if I remember correctly, it was Spirit and Rainer were working together as well, where Spirit was just the money bank and he was just feeding
Yeah.
Rainer, and Rainer was going mass muta. It's interesting strategy. So mhm.
I remember there was one match where Cyril tapped out early and he was like, "Yo, bro, Oliveira, what are you still doing in game?" And Oliveira was, "No, trust me, bro, trust me. I can still win this for us." And he did. It was like a week before his IEM run as well.
Oliveira was
fun.
on.
I remember there was also one. I think it was a semifinals, Dark and Hero versus Shin and somebody else, where they all just off raced. That was pretty fun.
Good times, good times. If you're interested, check out the VODs on our channel. It's all on YouTube. But yeah. So we'll see if maybe they bring that back. Regardless, really cool to see that FSL at least are incorporating that 2v2 aspect, and we'll keep you guys posted on any other big updates for the FSL.
Yeah. Still very early into the group stage. I mean, there are 10 weeks. It's a round robin group, and over the course of 10 weeks, and we've only just wrapped up week 2. So yeah, we'll keep you guys posted.
Oh yeah. More to come. Shout out to KJ Freedom, of course, for hosting and organizing the FSL, and for continuing to support it for as long as he has. But now we can jump into our OSC events. We have OSC King of the Hill. Every single week we have our King of the Hill, and this week we have, oh my god, quite a performance here by players like Nick Racht and Shameless as well, and Christiana and Geralt.
Yeah, pretty good performances coming up here. Nicoract, obviously, coming in with the longest streak right from the beginning. I mean, he was the defending King of the Hill as well from last week. So, yeah, came in, took out Young Yakov, took out Hamono, took out Demi, took out Miomaika, took out Fiant, and then finally did fall to Shameless, who himself went on a little bit of a tear.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to these performances, I mean, Nick Racht, his TVZ has been killer. I mean, clearly you can see it in full display here. Like, very impressive run from Nick Racht to bring down, players like Young Yakov and Fiant, and even more crazy players like Mio. Shameless's run is crazy as well. I mean, these are all best of ones, of course, but for Shameless to take down Nightmare, like, I would have assumed that Shameless's run would have been cut short, but to take down Nightmare as well is very impressive, especially in the PvP.
Yeah. Nightmare, of course, the PvP specialist. There is a world out there when Nightmare is the one who took out Shameless here in match 7 and then went on his own tear. But Shameless, proving himself more than capable of the matchup and of PvZ as well to get out Mixu in the next round.
Yeah, to take down Mixu and many others. And then after Shameless's performance, then it was kind of more back and forth. We had Forjumi take a map, we had Mixu, we had Cristiano, we had Geralt, and Geralt in the end did become the final OSC King of the Hill this week. Again, Geralt, has been on fire as of late, and a lot of these players are quite comparable in skill. Geralt, Cristiano, Mixu, alongside Nicoract.
And the Geralt Cristiano rivalry still coming, it's still going strong here.
It does.
Geralt pulling ahead this time.
It does still go strong. I have a little bit of a thing to add to that later on, but yes.
Oh yeah.
So congratulations to Geralt for becoming the last or the King of the Hill of the week. That means he's going to be invited to be the starting player next week. That's why Nickrak did start as well. So Geralt has the potential to go for a deep run.
Yeah. Yeah. See if he can continue this streak.
Yeah, and a shout out to Steadfast. I believe Steadfast was the caster
Oh.
covering this event this week. Usually it's ourselves, usually it's Wardy. But this week it was handed over to Steadfast, so big shout out to him for covering it. Alongside, I think this also coincided with OC mid-season playoffs. I think he also covered that as well.
Ooh, went through the gauntlet.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, we'll get to that eventually. But we also have the OSC Elite Rising Star number 12. This has also been an event that's been slowly progressing over time, like kind of one round a week. So we haven't had too many updates. I believe this week was the lower half of the bracket, the lower rounds, lower bracket rounds.
Yeah, by the looks of things, the majority of the lower bracket rounds, I mean, were covered this week. So it looks like there's still a little ways to go, but trust me, considering the fact that we were waiting quite a while for lower brow matches to be seeded, for players to get knocked down to the lower round, yeah, it was pretty intense.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not too sure if Nikic versus Young Yakov is going to be played next week, or if they're still just going to focus on the lower bracket quarterfinals instead. So we'll keep you guys posted on those results. But I mean, again, coming into this, Young Yakov is still looking quite strong. But anything can happen in that ZVZ against Nikic. Night Phoenix got knocked out by Nicorant. UD Soldier knocks out Spats. That I would say is an upset. Spats is a player that I feel like has a lot of potential, but kind of fell off the radar over the past couple of months and hasn't been as active. So for him to fall to UAD Soldier, I feel like that's a big result for UAD.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
He toured Shameless as well.
I'm now noticing that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
All
popping
right.
up.
PvP looking very solid. I was going to say his big test here is going to be for Jumi, who I would say has been the most active out of all these, out of all, at least for Protoss, out of all these players left. But, yo, if you can 2-0 Shameless, you can take out stats? Spats, not stats.
Yeah.
Fair,
Stats as well.
Very, yo, if you can't take out stats, so yeah, then I will worry a little bit here for Jumi.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like coming into this, like Jumi is the bigger name. Like there's a reason why he made it further in the tournament before being knocked down as well. But for UED Soldier, bearing in mind this is the Shameless that took down Nightmare earlier in OSC King of the Hill and took down all these other Protoss players. Like Shameless by no means is a bad player. Like he's I would even favor Shameless against Jumi in a PvP, to be honest. But for UED Soldier to take them both down, yeah, he could have another upset. He could do it.
Yeah. He could be the rising star.
He could be the rising star. So I do have my eyes on that PvP. But again, those matches should be played out over the next couple of days. We'll keep you guys updated next week.
Indeed. It'll conclude next week, so yeah.
Shout out to, I believe Just Jordan has been covering most of these matches. So best of luck to him and his coverage. Meanwhile, heading on over, we have another big. Well, now we're getting into our more regular weekly events. We have the continuation of the Little Stormy Cups.
Yeah, a little bit of an in-house tournament here for Psystorm Gaming as well as Psystorm Community, as we can see here, and a little bit interesting here, if I do say so myself, looking at Wikipedia.
Yeah, so usually this is Geralt's stomping ground, right? Usually Geralt, he's all over this. But as we saw, Geralt is no longer on Psystorm Gaming. So and I don't know if that factored in, because if you look at the challenge page, this was actually meant to be MinoVK versus Geralt. And there was a walkover given. So maybe that's a coincidence, maybe not. But again, usually
this is the real reason why he left.
True. True. So that it could just be a byproduct of it, like, maybe because he left, he wasn't eligible or something, or maybe he just wasn't available. Regardless, MiddleVK did walk away as the victor, and I do hope that this event gets a little bit more eyes on it. Again, I'm sure there's, I think we have seen in the past players like Nick Racked and others getting involved, but sometimes I believe this tournament does clash with other events, so it could be hard, like getting everyone in.
Yeah. Yeah, especially during the on season and when things are a bit more active. Again, this is typically, as you were mentioning, Geralt's stomping ground. He is kind of final boss at the end for the challengers come up against him. But sometimes you have other events going on, and sometimes he's just not available to be that final boss. You just go directly. You just go directly to the victory screen.
Exactly. So we'll see in the absence of Geralt, who's able to be the more regular champion of the Little Stormy Cup. So best of luck with the organization and running of that tournament. Scrolling on over, we have something.
We have an update from the chat. Kashim is bringing up that apparently Geralt is still part of Psystorm. He's just looking for a new team while he's still on Psystorm. So he's technically part of a team still.
Okay.
A little bit.
I'm gonna believe Kashim on
Let's
that.
be
I have
honest.
no idea.
Okay.
It's a little bit weird, to be honest, but
Yeah.
not unheard of.
There you go. There you go.
So he was allowed, or at least eligible, to play in this. Is what you're saying?
Wait, does Geralt know?
That's the question. Yeah.
Does he know? We should probably tell him. We should.
Yeah. I would not be surprised.
So we'll see what comes of that. Meanwhile, we do have another event coming in. We have something a little bit bigger here. We have the 3D Community Super Cup number 2. Now, 3D Clan, for those unaware, is a Russian team and does support more notably GG Machine. But I didn't know that they hosted their own big tournaments like this, and it's got quite a hefty prize pool.
Yeah, pretty hefty, to say the least. Roughly 300 USD for an online weekly. That's quite a bit. Tis focused a lot more on the kind of Eastern Europe, or specifically the CIS region, but you also get a couple of Polish players thrown into the mix every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it is interesting how they've kind of sorted this out, specifically the second one, because if you recall, I'm looking at 3D Super Cup number 1. I believe that was just an open bracket tournament. This time, it's a little bit more exclusive. We have 4 invited players, and then 4 players coming in from qualifiers.
Yeah, so it looks like a weekend event. It looks like it's happening over the course, or I say weekend event, over the course of this week. Apparently it does conclude tomorrow. But yeah, we have players from the qualifiers. We have invited players as well. Honestly, this event, I feel like has a lot of potential here. Coming into it, I would kind of favor someone like Wayne and Nicorect. I think they're 2 of the strongest players coming into this. But at the same time, Shameless has been looking really strong. Yang Yakov's been looking really good. GG Machine, if you recall, he had an upset last week where he was the only player to really pose a threat to Shin in ZVZ. He was the only one to take a map off of him in Sparkling Tuna Cup. So yeah, there's a lot of really close competition. I do think a lot of these players are quite similar in skill.
And there's going to be one more invited player, I believe. They haven't sorted all of it out yet.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume Geralt is the reigning champion, so I feel like he should be invited, but we'll see. Maybe there's still. Does he know? Does he know he's invited? Well, we'll reach out to him. It's okay. We'll let him know. Oh no. So, I'm sure by the time next week's PondCast rolls around, we'll be able to, we'll keep you posted on what happens with this event, who the final invited player is, and the overall champion. Yeah. Predictions, Yaku. Who's it going to be? Top 2, like the finals. The finals.
Oh, finals. Okay.
Yeah.
For Jumi versus Night Phoenix.
Okay.
It could be Night Phoenix still.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I mean, I think could be invited. True. Could be invited.
I mean, looking at the players that we have here, I'm gonna say Nicorect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling very strong for Nicorect here, or I'm liking Nicorect. I have a lot of hype behind Nicorect, basically.
Mm.
Nicorect versus yeah, I'm gonna say Nicorect, champion, runner up. You never want to discount Wayne, is the thing. But I feel like I haven't really been able to see much of him in the past couple of weeks. So I'm gonna go for a bit more of a wild card and say Nikic.
Okay, okay, okay. I can see that. I can see that. I'd have to echo your sentiments a little bit there. I do agree. I do think that Nicorect is, especially his TVZ, is very scary at the moment. Like his Terran versus Zerg is very strong. And I don't think there's as threatening Protoss or Terran players here for him. So I do think that Nicorect is. I'll also say that he's going to be looking as one of the favorites to take it all. And maybe runner up. I'd say Young Yakov. I want to say.
Ooh,
I want to say Old Man
I can see
Yakov. He
that.
can do it.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does have a lot of momentum coming his way from the past week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, TVZ. But of course, if Gerald is the final invited player, then then that's who I'm betting my money on.
True.
Unless he's invited but doesn't know but didn't know he was invited, and so he doesn't show up.
That's also possible. It's also possible. We'll see. The invited player could shake things up as well. Definitely.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we have another event going on. We have the 2024 StarCraft 2 Intercollegiate Welcoming Cup. This is apparently a tournament held to welcome freshmen and new graduate students, which is just a really cool program. Yeah,
in China specifically.
Mhm.
This is pretty cool to see. I'm glad that we're seeing some of it here in China as well. Oh man, it was a little bit obscure, but if anyone remembers Alpha X, it wasn't Alpha X who organized it, but one of the Alpha X officers, shout out to old mate Warbuff, used to be part of a intercollegiate, like a Texas intercollegiate esports thing, organized specifically like the Star League between the Texas colleges or the Texas universities.
Yeah, like collegiate, like StarCraft used to be a lot more. When it used to be a thing, like in the West, and in StarCraft 2 many years ago at this point, it was really exciting to see, just like these different universities or different support of these more fostering younger players in general as well. It's a program that slowly died off over time, so it isn't really around anymore, which is why it's exciting to see that apparently it's quite thriving here. I mean, look at the signups, like that's a lot of players.
It's a lot of players, yeah. A lot of players and not too many like forfeits. Like a couple of forfeits here and there, which is understandable. They're students, and it's specifically they said for freshmen and graduate students. Some of them. I'm not speaking from experience here, but some of them freshmen might not realize that it's a bad idea to load in your schedule in your first semester. Or in your first year. Not that I have any experience with that.
Yeah, it's really cool. Especially because I mean, in general, we don't really get to hear too much of the Chinese scene. I mean, recently we've been, being updated with like the Sunrise Cups, for example, and obviously, Oliveira being the world champion last year was a big part of it as well when it comes to boosting the morale and boosting the interest of StarCraft in China. SC Boy and all of their events and all of their endeavors as well, with Stars War 11, with Massive Coliseum, with WTL. It is really cool to see this as well, right? Where I don't think necessarily SC Boy, they're not organizing it or anything like that, but I'm sure that because of their coverage and because of everything that's been going on, like there's still interest here. It's exciting to see.
Yeah, it looks like it's actually for the most part organized by individuals.
Yeah, the passion is real.
The passion is real, unless these are brand names, in which case I don't know what's going on over in China.
For sure. So really exciting to see that there is this event going on. When it comes to notable players, I don't know if you saw, but there's someone called Cyril in there, but lowercase s.
Lowercase s, and also Yeah, lowercase s, but still playing Zerg. So
Mm-hmm. There you go. When it
there's
comes
one
to
player who actually has a main space page. It's Sakura. I did not
yeah,
realize that he was okay. Or
yeah, that
now
was
going by TATP apparently.
yeah. We've casted Sakura or TATP before.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, we've casted him a couple of times back in the day. I'm glad to see that he's still competing, even if it is not quite on the same level as the kind of like regionals and stuff he used to play in.
Yeah, I would say that coming into this tournament, into Stage A, my assumption is that TATP is going to be the heavy favorites. But I only say that just because we have casted them before. We know that
Yeah.
they're a more competitive player. The other one that stands out to me is Awul, just because I've seen that name before in Sunrise Cups. Like I've noticed.
Ooh.
Yeah, not to be confused with Ubu. It's Awul.
Yeah.
There you go. So we'll see if any of these other freshmen or graduate players can compare against them, can compete.
Yeah. Indeed, we shall. Our eyes will be peeled on them.
This, I'm just trying to have a look at the names here. We have Raiko RTS noob. We have Kyung.
Raikou?
Yeah,
The
Raiko.
Pokemon?
That's Raikou.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Misheard.
It's all good. It's all good.
Raikou. I see.
One adventurer.
Not Japan, but Janpan.
This Gen Pen. Let's go.
Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Not Joker.
Yeah, wish him the best. Wish him the best. Looks like it's being streamed over on Billy Billy.
Prescribe? That's a medical student right there.
I do see Prescribe. He needs to team up with Cure.
Ah, dude.
Prescribe the Cure. Let's go.
I feel
Need to bring back the 2v2s.
we do. And if we need to open it up to, or we don't need to open it up, we just need to get Cure to enroll in a Chinese university.
Oh, there's
I'm
Tin
pretty sure-
Fish.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure this is open to anyone who is enrolled in one of the partner colleges. It's not like nationality locked or anything.
Mhm.
So we just need to sign up Cure for one of them, or
There you
enroll
go.
Cure in one of them, and there we go.
There you go. But yeah, we'll keep you guys updated on who is going to be the collegiate champion. I'm sure we'll find out in the upcoming days. Or month even, my apologies. Looks like it's going to be running until the 20th of October.
Which again makes sense. These are students.
Sure. With that, speaking of Chinese events, we do have the Sunrise Cup. I say the Sunrise Cup. Usually we've been covering the weeklies, but it looks like they have a seasonal kind of, again, end of season events going on. The Sunrise Cup Fall Edition.
Yeah, so the top players from the weeklies, the top players from the weeklies throughout the season, as well as a couple of, wildcard slots that are awarded to players who qualify. That's going to be coming down, and no big surprises here when we look at the players who qualified and the players who were invited based on their standings.
Yeah, some big names from China are here. Not just China, but I mean, apparently Lemon was also going to be involved, the Taiwanese Protoss player, but it looks like he was otherwise unavailable, so he was replaced by Young Zest. Young Zest is also an amazing player. It's Young Zest, aka Potato. But if Lemon was here, I would have said that he would have been one of the favorites to have a deep run in this event. It's a bit of a shame that he won't be involved, but it looks like something, otherwise came up.
Yeah, he is the most recent or second most recent Sunrise Cup champion. So
true,
and he has the ability to off race. So Lemon, I would have to agree with you there, would have been the heavy favorite throughout this. But now that he's being replaced, you gotta give it to the replacement man, right? My eyes are on Young Zest now.
Yeah, Young Zest has.
I was gonna say Young Zest and Silky, to be fair.
As the Silky. Do not forget as well, they have him written down as his older ID, but Lancer. Lancer is one of
True.
the best
Cyan.
players, yeah, in China. So Lancer is also gonna have I would imagine a deep run as well. What I would say though, who's seeded the bracket? Because look, we have Young Zest, Silky, and Lancer. All three of them are in the same half of the bracket. That's crazy. That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some heavy favorites going on there. Only one of them can. Only one or possibly none of them will make it to the finals, and yeah, those are players who you would expect to make it to at least the semis.
Yeah, look, I'm looking at you, organizer of the Sunrise Cup. Something's going on here, but all three of them are in the same half, so it's a bit of a shame that they're all fighting against each other.
Well,
When it comes to the lower half of the brackets, there are some strong competitors there as well. I have my eyes on Oriana and Joloa Loves, of course.
yeah. I'd say those are two big names. Nanami is a little
Yeah.
bit. It's a little bit unknown right now how his form is looking like. Just hasn't been too active, but he has won. Yeah, a couple of some recent Sunrise Cups.
Yeah. There's going to be another strong name
So-
going to be facing off.
Yeah. So his form is a little bit unknown right now, but absolutely still a pretty strong competitor moving forward.
Definitely. So that is going to be taking place over this weekend. So, I mean, there's a lot of events going on over the weekend. So, best of luck to all
Yeah.
these players, all these competitors. Moving on over, we do have the Chicken King Cup. Now, based on the name alone, I would have assumed that Chicken Man would have been involved here, but no, it is another event happening in China. Another event that did happen in China.
Yeah, not organized by the Chicken Man, but by the Chicken Lord, otherwise known as Salsa. Or well, I guess he's no longer the Chicken Lord. He's passed that crown to Crank.
True. Now, I would have assumed that to be the Chicken King, all the losers would make it through. Because if you remember, that's how Crank won, is by losing. But that is not how the bracket
He won by
unfolded,
losing, yeah. That's literally what happened. You say it, and it sounds like an oxymoron, but that's literally what happened.
Is what happened, and I'm a little bit in shock here. So there's a couple of big names that I'm seeing here, and I would have assumed that they would have had stronger performances. I'm really curious if there was like a different format going on or something. But Oriana, we mentioned him earlier. You know, he's going to be in the next Sunrise Cup, and he is a name that can go far. Did make it all the way to the finals. But scrolling down, his opponent is a player that I'm not familiar with at all. I've never seen that name before.
Yeah. How do I zoom?
Apparently, according to Google Translate, it translates to Kerrigan.
Okay, there we go.
But yeah, a Terran player called Kerrigan took down Oriana, went all the way to the Ace match. Very impressive. Like that's something that I was never expecting.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't expecting a Terran player called Kerrigan, but I guess we also do have a Zerg player called Raynor, so
True.
they need to team up.
But it makes more sense because Kerrigan was a part of Terran initially, right? Like before everything happened. So it makes more sense than Raynor being Zerg, is what I'm saying. Raynor.
And being misspelled as well, Raynor.
Shaking my head. And hold on, I'm double checking. Is Kerrigan also playing in the Sunrise Cup? No shot. No, okay. Someone else.
Different
just double checking. Yeah, different characters. But yeah, that's really interesting, and I mean, I'm curious if maybe Kerrigan starts playing in more tournaments. To take down Oriana best of 5 is no easy feat, and I mean to win the entire tournament is not easy at all. There are some other big names: Joloa Loves, Xing Ming, Miracle as well. I'm also a little bit surprised that Joloa Loves got knocked out earlier in the tournament by another name that I'm not familiar with as well.
Okay, so they play Terran Abathur.
Yes, it is Artanis. Ah,
Oh,
shaking my head. So yeah, some crazy upsets. Crazy upsets did occur, and this could be telling of maybe some rising talent amongst the Chinese scene. It's possible. It's possible.
yeah. Keep a lookout.
Mhm.
We'll have to
Definitely.
keep these particular characters pinned so that the next time we don't have to Google Translate them.
Exactly.
Just immediately
Exactly.
like, ah, yes, that's Kerrigan.
Mhm. Yeah, like unironically, I'll be keeping my eye out for Kerrigan and some future results that they could be having. So keep an eye out for them. Meanwhile, we do have our next event. We do have the Lulu Cup, number 25. Now there is a
Luli.
big event happening even tonight, I believe, throughout the entire week. There's a Lulu
Yeah, the
event.
big
My
Luli
apologies.
Cup is what it's called,
Yes, yes.
happening tonight. Hmm.
Hmm.
And I guess
But
we're
this was
going
a
to
show
get into
match.
that a little bit later, yeah?
Mhm.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the big cup a little bit later on, I believe. But yeah, for now, we very similarly, and I'm liking this a lot I'm liking that a lot of organizers have kind of caught on that, hey, people like watching show matches. You can have you can have your tournament bracket, you can still have that, but it's a little bit of an appetizer as an opening event, if you will. Show match. A couple of players who people just want to see play against each other. In this case, it was Oliveira versus Dark.
Yeah, and this is a rematch. I believe Oliveira and Dark played in the last KS. Was it the last KSL or the last Wardy TV event? It was one of the two. And they did face off in a best of three. I want to say in the semifinals, and Oliveira defeated Dark then as well. So this is becoming a bit of a trend. I mean, to be fair, Oliveira has some of the best TVZ in the world. We saw that
Mhm.
previously in the event in Bulgaria, where Oliveira was the one that knocked Reynor out of the tournament. So clearly, Oliveira, his TVZ is on point.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Oliveira and Dark, I also feel like they have been playing. I mean, you were mentioning it was either the Wardy event or some other event. They have been playing against each other quite a bit these past couple of weeks, and
Mhm.
Oliveira coming up on top. I mean, they do trade back and forth, but I believe Oliveira has a slight edge now with the victory in the Luli Cup.
Mhm. Yeah, I was just double checking. So it was. I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll talk about it later.
Okay,
so,
all right, all
so
right, all right.
spoilers. But yes, in this week's Warrior TV Monday, which we'll go over later on, Oliveira did also defeat Dark. So yeah, back-to-back wins here. Very nicely done. I mean, it went all the way to the ace match. It was very close, very competitive between the two of them. But did barely go the way of Oliveira. I mean, clearly this could have gone either way, and Dark could have been the winner as well. But it's just great to see that this did go the distance all the way to the ace match, which doesn't often happen.
Yeah, I do have one critique though. I'm looking at the graphic. How old are these pictures of the players?
Yo, that is Dark in his SKT jacket. That is a Dark
With
from like
yeah,
2015. That's a
yeah.
very young Dark. My
That's a
God,
Dark before he grew out his goatee,
that's a Dark
before
before Oliveira was
everything.
born. Like that's
That is.
oh God.
The Oliveira, the Oliveira graphic, at least a little bit more recent. That's him in
Yeah,
Dragon Kaizi gaming. So,
yeah.
at the most recent, maybe 2 years ago, something like that,
Mhm.
or a year ago, something like that. But Dark, that is
Why do they?
that's baby.
That's why do they pick that photo? Like that has to be intentional, right? It's like, oh my
Well,
God.
they didn't want to have Papi Dark up against Oliveira here, I
Uh
guess.
huh. Yeah, they wanted to make him look less intimidating, and I mean it
Yeah,
worked. I mean Oliveira
yeah,
won because of the
yeah.
photo.
There we go. Coincidence?
Shaking my head, but yeah, very, very different Dark there. And regardless, congratulations to Oliveira. Meanwhile, we have additional show matches coming up, or just wrapping up. We had the Super 7, number 12.
Yes, and this is a very exciting one looking at the result itself. Once again, featuring Oliveira here. Oliveira, who Has taken a lot of stride. I mean, you were mentioning he's very strong in TVZ. Has
Mhm.
also been improving his TVP a lot. Has been getting it on point. Ever since he learned to throw his brain out in the TVP matchup specifically, it's been working out really
Mhm.
well for him. But not well enough to overcome Trigger, who came out ahead in the 4-3. Who took the 4-3.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's very bittersweet right now. But this series and what this result tells us, it's less about like, oh, is this an upset? Like, is Oliveira playing poorly? No, not at all. It's Trigger peaking at the moment, and it's a bit of a shame because Trigger, he's looking so good. We were praising Trigger last week, and we will be getting into more Trigger results this week as well because of how good he has been playing. And this is all, we spoke last week about how Trigger, he pulled a Kevin. He was left behind. He's in Korea, and he's doing really well right now. But it's also the off season, right? It's the off season
Yeah.
of StarCraft, and this is when he happens to be popping off, which is like it's cool to see it, but still, like, if only this was like a couple months sooner, sort of thing.
Yeah. Hey, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for Home Story Cup.
True.
Which is coming down, but yeah, very impressive result here, as you were mentioning. It did go all the way to the ace match, so still a series that could have gone either way, but I do think that Trigger was the underdog coming into this. I mean, Oliveira, he's a world champion. He has, even though he is a little bit weaker in the TVP matchup, I think just on paper, on Aligulac, or just on stats alone, anybody would have favored
Mhm.
Oliveira here, but Trigger did come ahead, did peak a little bit, and ended up taking the victory here.
Yeah, based on the results that we've been seeing so far over the past couple of weeks, Trigger is improving. Like right now, he's like on the rise, and his rate of improvement is looking quite steady. And we'll see kind of where that ends and where that takes him. Definitely, Trigger is a player to keep an eye on for these big show matches and online tournaments, and even leading into Home Story Cup, as you mentioned.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Anyway,
Mhm.
they haven't released the full invite list, so.
Yeah. Take. So we'll
So
see
I
if he's
saw
gonna
a
be a part of that.
conversation
And they're still
about
throwing
this,
it
and
out.
the invites will be released after the qualifiers.
Okay,
Makes
there we go.
sense. Yeah,
We'll get there.
that's a pretty good way of doing it.
Mhm.
I mean,
Meanwhile,
even if it wasn't, I mean, it still takes a while to sort out. So.
for sure. As we do have the Super 7 13 show match featuring two players
Yes.
that I was not expecting to see, but it's great to see them facing off against each other. We have Zaun and DRG.
Indeed, another series that went all the way to the ace match, another show match that went all the way to the ace match. You love to see it. And this time, Zaun, Zaun ended up taking the victory.
Yeah, so Zaun, we spoke last week about his return to competitive play, about his comeback since returning from the military, and Zaun has been improving. DRG has been less active as of recently. He has been playing less ever since EWC. It's the off season, right? So he hasn't been competing in as many tournaments. But despite that, for Zaun to win this is very impressive. As you mentioned, still went all the way to the ace match, which is crazy. I said earlier, like, we don't often get to see ace matches, but in all the show matches so far, it's going to game 7, which is wild. Like, what are the odds of that happening 3 tournaments in a row?
These are the odds, apparently. Well, yeah, very cool to see Zaun, who has only been back for about a month or something like that, or competitively only been back for about a week or two. Yeah, very cool to see. Still looking for a team, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, both of them are. I mean,
Well, yeah.
still looking for teams. Regardless, a very close series. Shout out to the organizers for bringing these two together because clearly they are very closely matched. So really cool to see that transpiring. Shout out to Zaun, of course, for coming out on top. Up next, we do have the Blood Money Battles number 2. 2 show matches this time between Goblin, Nighthead, Yo-Yo, and Teardrop.
Indeed, an EU blood match versus an NA blood match by the looks of things.
I know Teardrop. Hold on.
You were trying to remember too, weren't you? Yeah.
I think I played him on the ladder yesterday.
Neck?
Hold on.
Question
I
mark?
need to... No, yeah, I did.
You need
Yeah.
to look at your VOD. Yeah.
No, yeah, I did. That's great. I was like, I know that name. Why do I know? Oh, we play on the ladder. So really cool to see. He went up against Yo-Yo, went all the way to
Did
the
he
ace,
win?
went all the way to the ace. Both of them did. What the hell? What's
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Goblin versus Nighthead. So what's interesting here is I don't know if you noticed that first series is Goblins off racing.
I did not notice that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild. And he won.
Mhm.
Oh, well,
I mean-
Nighthead also off raced.
Yeah.
They played
It
each
was-
other's race. That's why it was a blood match, because that was them proving to each other which race is
Mhm.
more OP.
Yeah. And it went to the ace match.
Yeah.
OP.
But you know what? Goblin won, so
Yeah.
Karen, clearly.
Terran.
Or
obviously.
is it that Protoss
Mhm.
P?
There you go. Up to you to decide. Up to you. Regardless, congratulations to Goblin for winning the off-race show match. And shout out to Yo-Yo for coming on top over Teardrop. Yo-Yo and Teardrop, they play their main races. I can confirm that. But Yo-Yo did
Well,
take it
you
in
can't
the
confirm
end.
Teardrop played their main race.
Yo-Yo as well. Yeah, he's a Zerg player.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's all
Alright.
So they played their main races, did go the way of Yo-Yo, but also very close one all the way to the ace match. So yeah, really cool to see that literally every show match this week went to the ace match. That's crazy.
Hell yeah.
It's the week of ace.
October.
Yeah. All the ace matches. But that does wrap up all of our show matches for the week. Up next, we have the Big Game Experience Craft number 2. We were hyping this up. I think this was like the day after last podcast. Like it was about to
Was
start up.
indeed, yeah. And for a refresher for people, this was the event that we were kind of teasing, that Hero Marine was kind of teasing as well, the
Mhm.
big German land that took place in Cologne.
Yeah, exactly. We have Hero Marine, of course, he did organize it. He was the commentator, he was the host. Apparently, he was the pizza chef as
yeah.
well.
I would
You
like
don't
to
know.
clarify. Apparently, Hero Marine was there just for the pizza. Rotterdam was the one casting.
Beautiful. Basically,
no.
as Roddy
Well,
was
that-
casting Gabe, he was cooking for everyone, basically.
Exactly, that's important. He didn't have to split his focus. He could focus entirely on the pizza.
Beautiful, beautiful. And the player turnout was interesting as well. Mainly German focus, of course. Gabe did preface this saying that most of the bigger players weren't going to be showing up for this. He was talking about Showtime and Lambo specifically. We were theorizing maybe Forjumi and Battle B would be a part of this. We had one, not quite the other. Forjumi, unfortunately, didn't quite travel to Cologne for this tournament.
Yeah, I also want to give an update on that. For Juby was planning to go to that event, but unfortunately he got sick right as it was happening. So,
No.
Coincidence?
Coincidence?
No,
Who
I'm just saying.
poisoned him?
I see a TBT
Somebody
finals,
poisoned
Yakul.
him. Yeah?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Could have very easily been a TVP. The pizza. Here's the thing, Gabe, he sent him a special pizza
no,
beforehand.
the Terran conspiracy. Gabe's like, you think I'm gonna allow a Protoss into not even the finals, into like the top 6? No. There's no Protoss whatsoever, mate. I'm gonna take him out.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So with that, it was a very
Top
Terran
9,
heavy
yeah.
bracket.
Top 9 actually is where the highest placing, or top 12 is the highest
Mhm.
placing Protoss. 2 of them. There was one Zerg player in the top 6.
Mhm.
Everyone else,
Yeah.
Terran.
Gabe did well. He did well here.
Oh, yeah. Good job, Gabe. Checks in the mail.
Oh no, not like this. But we did have as the bigger names Battlebee and Moja. They were the 2 finalists in the end. Battlebee as the heavy favorite. Moja has been rising through the ranks of the European scene as well as of late, and did pose a threat, but in the end did go down to Battlebee. But it was also really cool to see apparently some players from outside of just the region. I don't know if they traveled or they happened to be in Germany at the time, but we did have a Turkish and Polish player. Interesting that they faced off against each other. in the first round. That's interesting.
Mhm. Gabe,
Gabe?
admin, question mark. I
That
do believe
said,
Musty resides in
yeah, I was
Germany.
gonna say, I think Musti lives in Germany. I'm not sure.
There you go.
Yeah. He also used to be on Centex apparently.
Oh, he's one of the Senthix boys.
Yeah, one of the Centex Terrans. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised then. We were missing Shark Ripper. There's no Soon. There's no where's no money.
Oh, he didn't
Well,
have
he
the
had no
money
money.
to.
Yes.
Yeah, he didn't have the money to come down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just he didn't have money. Yeah, true. Yeah, not wrong. Not wrong. So what we're saying is there could have been even more Terran here.
Yeah. There should have been even more Terran here.
Should have. Yeah. But regardless, congratulations to Battle B, and I did see photos on social media of Gabe making and spinning pizza. So
Oh no.
yeah, do definitely check it out. Likewise, apparently Musti actually won the best underdog performance as well.
Yeah, which well deserved, I would say. Musty, a little bit of I would say an unknown name. I mean, he shows up every now and then. He plays quite a lot with or he whatchamacallit. Yeah, he plays quite a lot with Hero Marine specifically. He was in that 2v2 tournament that Wardy held a while ago. But I think to make it all the way to 4th place is something that I doubt most people expect it, especially making it there from the lower half of the bracket, or from the lower bracket.
Oh yeah. So very well done here to Musty and to everyone else that got involved. Hope everyone had a great time as well. You know, when it comes to LAN events like this, it isn't just about the tournament, but it's also about the experience. It's about the pizza, papi. It's about the pizza and, you know, just meeting up and, you know, enjoying StarCraft together as a community.
Yeah. Really cool to see, and I hope there's gonna be more of these coming up.
Yeah, I'm sure there will. I'm sure there will be some future big Gabe events, so keep an eye out. Again, if you happen to be in Germany or even adjacent to Germany, then do consider traveling for the next one. I'm sure it's going to be a good time. Regardless, congratulations to Battle B for being the champion.
Indeed.
There you
Moving
go.
on, we have another tournament that was held, a less of a regional and more of a world online tournament being held, which I was very disappointed, to find out that this was actually played by real people and not by Twitch chat.
Oh no. Yeah, we had the Chat Star League number 31. I've never heard of the Chat Star League before. I'll be honest. Apparently, it's organized by Platinum Esports. And
not to be confused with Platinum Heroes.
Not to be confused, but it's very similar. That's very similar to it. So yeah, really cool to see that they've been hosting these events. They look like monthly-ish tournaments. Like it's not necessarily as regular as weeklies. And I believe there are some limitations as well. Potentially.
Potential. You know what? We have technology. We can take a look. See here. Rules are posted in this. Okay, well.
You're like we don't have the technology, mate. We don't have it.
We lack the technology. Yeah,
we do lack it. But yeah, it's really cool that this event has been taking place on a regular basis as well. Really cool to see. And yeah, it looks like there are some yeah, there is an MMR cap. Yeah, that's what I assumed. There is a 5.3k MMR cap. So once again, it's kind of limited to low GM, to M1 players and low GM to compete in this tournament. And because of that, that's why we do have some more notables in the event as well. Like I am familiar with Radka, with Arez, with Baum, who also played in our tournaments, Cobblestone, I mean, everyone here, you know, they've been around the block for a while. And yeah, really cool to see them host this monthly tournament.
Yeah. I have to wonder about the name though.
We got an update in the chat from Gather who is saying that this tournament is below 5.3.
5.3. Okay, yeah. So still low, like low GM, high masters kind of cap.
Yeah, as we said, 5.3k MMR. I was just yeah.
But it's
I joined the
5.3
Discord for
KMR,
that. But yeah, with that we have Cobblestone taking the win.
Cobblestone taking the win there with Fined coming in. Coming in as the runner-up, Ares taking the third place after a bit of a walkover, unfortunately, by the looks of things.
Yeah,
I do have to
I'll be
wonder
honest.
about yeah.
Go on.
There you go on first.
I was gonna say, I'll be honest, I'm just surprised that Ares took down Gref. Like Gref, he is a known cannon rusher. He does nothing but cannon rush, and he's taken down some big names cannon rushing as well. So shout out to Ares for surviving that and for coming out on top.
I mean, he has good practice coming from the land of Brazil.
True. Turkey
Not
down.
naming names. Because you did. Yeah, there we go.
Shame him.
Yeah, I do have to wonder about the name of the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just a way to get chat involved. It's fine.
I guess? Question mark?
It's fine. But with that, we do also have our next event. We have the King of the North once again. King of the North #1. We have been seeing this event become more and more regular over the past couple of weeks, and it looks like here we have the conclusion of the 4th edition.
Indeed, and I believe this is a little bit of a revenge match, question mark, or a little bit of a rematch of last week, but with a reversal of the result, if I'm remembering this correctly. Geralt came in last week and took the W in the end, but this week Cristiano came back and he reclaimed his throne as the King of the North. North.
Yeah, so we have Cristiano coming out on top of Geralt. I mean, getting his revenge from OC King of the Hill, if you recall, right? Like, Geralt defeated Cristiano there. Cristiano defeats Geralt here. But we had more of our regulars. We have Nicaract. We have Middle VK as well. But Cristiano, he does kind of claim himself as the King of the North.
Yeah. Once again, I mean, I believe he won the first 2 editions of these, so...
Yeah, and again, this isn't
ground.
Yeah, this isn't like a region locked by any means or anything like that. It is open. It is at a more European-friendly time zone and time slot. But yeah, if you're out there, if you happen to be, local, or if it happens to be at a good time zone for you, good time start,
or if
then consider taking part. Oh, yeah, true. Or if you're a DGen. True.
You never want to count them out.
But it looks like they did actually have to reschedule their tournament just because of the Home Story Cup qualifiers.
Makes sense. Around those same times, but yeah, they'll be back.
For sure. Speaking of Geralt and Cristiano, we just saw Cristiano take down Geralt in the best of 7, but now it feels like we're just like seeing the same players but shuffled around a little bit here. We have the Passion Craft Thursday Showdown number 65, where they also faced off again in the finals.
Yeah, this time with Geralt taking the W in the end. Geralt, who had a lot of practice in PvP before coming into this. Even taking out Shameless in the semis.
Yeah, took down Shameless. Shameless did take a map, which is very impressive, but Geralt did come out on top. We have Cristiano take down Nicaract as well. But this time it looks like a more dominant showing from Geralt. Did get the 3-0 over Cristiano, getting his revenge. So once again, showing that they do just keep going back and forth. It may have been a more dominant 3-0 here, but I mean, it was 4-2 earlier in the best of 7. Then we had the best of 1. Like, they just keep going back and forth. They keep trading blows.
Yeah. One by one. Who will be the last one standing? We'll find out.
I mean, they're really good rivals. I will say that at this point, they do have a rivalry between the two of them, and it's just a really good way that they've been able to improve themselves as well when it comes to the PvP matchup, and not even just that, but push themselves to compete in more tournaments and to strive to go further. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's a big reason as to why they're both so often seen at the top of the bracket.
Now, when you say PvP, you mean Protoss v Protoss or Poland versus Poland?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. That's the answer. But a shout out to Art for also taking a game off of Cristiano, and congratulations, of course, to Geralt for becoming the champion this week. I didn't notice, but apparently here for the Passioncraft Thursday Showdown, they also have a random raffle as well.
Oh, I did not realize that.
There you
So I
go.
should
So
sign up
Geralt,
for it, is what you're saying.
it's exactly. But Geralt, he double dipped. He got 25 for being the champion and an extra 10 for the random raffle.
Not too shabby.
Mate, their random raffle is 10 USD. That's better than getting 4th place and 3rd place. That's
so
crazy.
I should sign up, is what you're saying.
You should. Everyone should sign up. I mean, mate, that's wild.
No. I should sign up. I don't
Okay.
need more numbers in the raffle.
You're like, no one should sign up. Let me sign up only. Thank you very much. Calm down. I feel so bad now because Geralt, he's always, whenever we do the random raffle for the Sparkling Tuna Cup, Geralt is always messaging me, like asking, oh, who won this week? Who won? Like, it's me? And it's never Geralt. It's never, but he did win it here for the Passioncraft.
That's how it works, right? If you don't win a raffle in one tournament, you win the raffle in the other.
There you go. Makes up for it.
It's all about statistics and math.
But with that, we have also the StarCraft Evolution League number 3. As a reminder, this is not StarCraft 2. It kind of is. It's half StarCraft 2, half Brood War. It is a mod that does incorporate both Brood War and SC2 races. Honestly, it's always a lot of fun to watch. It's always a lot of fun to cast. It's quite refreshing, and it's just a different take on the game. I always find it very interesting. And this time, though, this week, there was no Shin.
Interesting. Yeah, Shin, who is typically a heavy favorite coming into SC Evo specifically, has really been experimenting a lot when it comes to Brute War Zerg and has been refining it a lot, or refining those builds a lot. This week just wasn't around.
Yeah. So he was the reigning champion for the last SEL. This time, as you mentioned, there was no Shin. So instead, coming into this, 3-Point was more of the heavy favorites. Did go up against some big names though. We went up against Rebellion, Honmono, there was Quanta as well. Kind of your typical Korean representation in this event. We had Mixu in the mix, and Gigi Machine earlier. So yeah, we had some nice European representation as well. But in the end, 3-Point did take it. He had some really impressive showings in the earlier rounds. Boanan, as you can imagine, he cannon rushed every single game, and
I forgot that's something you can do in both versions.
It's true. It's true. And GG Machine had a really hard time defending with Brood War Zerg. The game that GG Machine won was with SC2 Zerg, and he had a really hard time defending with Brood War Zerg. But 3-Point, he showed off, like, I guess just a cleaner way to do so. It was really interesting. 3-Point played Brood War both games, and Brood War Zerg both games. And, Sunken Colonies build so fast compared to Spine Crawlers. It's crazy. But seeing like Sunken Colony defense instead, like site defense versus site defense, it was really fascinating to see how different these versions are. And 3-Point has been putting in a lot of hours and a lot of time into this mod.
And it shows. I mean, coming in, only dropping one single map to Honmono, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Do you know what map that was on?
Well, I just looked at it, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
but
if I could try to guess and pretend, if I could guess what I would guess if I had not seen what map it was, I think I would have said, what's the pool? I think I would have said Oceanborn. I know it's not because I looked at it, but I think that's what I would have said.
Yeah. What I'm alluding to, Paradox, if you remember, because now you haven't been watching too much of it. Yeah, it's the island map. Let's go. But that was the game that Homeowner did win. 3-Point tried to go into he went for a Night Soul in. Tried to go for a Night Soul in, but Homeowner completely shut it down. It was very impressive. But I don't know if you noticed, this is actually a pseudo fresh map pool. They've rotated some maps out. They rotated other maps in. Maps that they got rid of was Golden Wall. Golden Wall was a part of this.
Mhm.
They got rid of it. They replaced it with Guangali Beach. If you remember that map, that's actually a
That's
reference. That's a
way
tribute.
long ago.
Yeah, that's a tribute to an event that occurred in Brood War.
Right. The was it Pro League or was it OSL? It was
OSL.
one of the finals that took place on the beach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was infamously the finals where I think it was Firebat Hero where he won the tournament, then he ran out into the ocean and jumped in,
Yeah.
like infamously. So yeah, the map is made for that venue, which is really cool.
Yeah. And it's also a very pretty map. I like the aesthetic of it, is what I'm saying.
It's not very balanced, is what I will say.
Yeah, but you know,
It's not, that's
does it have
Ah.
to be?
But yeah, regardless, it was a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of fun. They also introduced another map as well called Monty Hall, which is wild. It's a map where post youth, how there's like a mineral wall coming into your base, right? Or maybe no, Golden Wall's a better example. You know how Golden Wall, there's a mineral wall
Yes.
coming into your base from the south? Imagine that, but 4 different entrances into your base. With mineral walls.
And you have to
obviously
mine
looking
out
more.
of the mineral
Yes.
wall to
Yes.
expand.
Exactly.
I like that. I like that
crazy.
idea a lot. Drops would go hard in this map. I love it. Drops,
Wild.
mutas, fucking Oracle harass, dude. Any airbase harass. I like it. But airbase harass, but especially drops. I want to play on this map now.
It was
Maybe-
wild.
Maybe when I could actually, yeah. Maybe when I could actually move my arm more.
Mhm. Fair enough. But yeah, just really really creative maps were involved. But regardless, congratulations to 3 Point. I do recommend checking it out if you're interested, if you are curious, if it piques your interest seeing SC2 like in a different format, in a different kind of setting, then it is definitely something to check out at some point.
Yeah. It is an open tournament, but obviously it only takes place every other Sunday, so keep that in mind. It does rotate between the StarCraft 2 Evolution League and KSL, Korean Star League.
Oh yeah. And with that, we have something that we mentioned earlier. An event had to reschedule because of this. It is the Home Story Cup 26 qualifier number 1.
Indeed, some pretty good rare signups here, but I would say what is not a surprise is that Clem ended up taking the qualified spot in the end. But what is a surprise is that Clem actually off-raced quite a bit here.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of controversy around this qualifier. As you may have heard, obviously, there are going to be invites to the event that have yet to be announced and yet to be confirmed. But Clem is the best player in the world. He's the best player in the world, and chances are he probably would have been invited. He probably would have been invited to the event. So because they didn't have initial invites or anything like that, to have the best player in the world, I mean, he only lost maps because he off-raced. That's crazy.
Pretty much. I mean, here's the thing, right? If you want to do qualifiers, I feel like the invite, if you have a player who is going to be invited anyway, going through the qualifiers, obviously the invite list would be modified as well. And obviously, or, well, not obviously, but what should happen is that they would take the kind of results of the qualifiers. You know, maybe the players who didn't quite qualify but got pretty close, they would keep that in mind when they craft the invite list, so.
I would hope so, right? I would hope so. Especially considering, like, what's wild to me here, the runner-up in the qualifier was Gumiho, the reigning champion, right? Like, he is last Home Story Cups champion, so
would have been invited as well, probably.
Yeah, I would hope that he
two
gets
finalists
invited.
Here were the two most likely to have been invited.
So I would hope that Gumiho gets invited as well. Is what I'm at least
if he doesn't
saying.
qualify in the next one.
True, true. Shout out to Zound, by the way. Like, going into
Yeah,
some of
that
the
was
details of the event itself, Zound toured Gumiho initially and went to the ace match against him in the lower bracket finals. Like, that is
that.
very impressive.
Yeah, that was the one that surprised me the most. And honestly,
Mhm.
since we are talking about it a little bit, if we didn't have Clem and Gumiho here, you know, Zaun might not have been on the short list of invitees. So
Yeah,
you know,
true.
I hope he is now. You know, after this
You
performance.
you raise a good point here, especially because the invites haven't been announced. Right, that Clem and Gumiho most likely would have been invited anyway. That makes sense, just because Clem is the best player in Europe or in the world, and Gumiho is the runner or is the reigning champion. But Zaun to have this kind of performance is impressive, right?
Yeah.
It's not
Plus, he
something
just
that we
got
were
back from
expecting.
military as well. You know.
Yeah, like sure, we just covered Zaun defeating DRG in a show match, but again, DRG is not the most active of players. Gumiho right now is in form. Like Gumiho, he is the reigning Home Story Cup champion, and he was competing, of course, in WTL and all these other online events. So to defeat him, I would say is like a stronger, a bigger feat for Zaun.
Yeah, 100% agree with you there. Especially with a Gumiho who, I mean, his TVP is a little bit awkward at times, but you know, he has figured out a way, his own style that works pretty well in these past couple, at least against some of these players who, you know, aren't the top Protoss players in the world.
For sure, for sure. So hopefully we get to see some more Zaun in Home Story Cup, assuming he also doesn't qualify in the next
Yeah.
qualifier. I do hope that, you know, they get invited in some way. I think I had heard as well that Rainer, he chose not to sign up for this because he just assumed he'd be invited as well, right? Like he willingly just didn't sign up for the qualifier because he's like, I'm probably gonna get invited anyway. So there's other things like that that were occurring around this.
Here's the thing. On the one hand, I feel like it would be a major disappointment to, and also like just from a viewership perspective, it would make no sense not to invite Raynor. And
Mhm.
I mean, Raynor really thrives in Home Story Cup. I mean, he's the one who comes down and kind of like throws shade on everyone. I love it.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, there is an evil part of me that kind of wants it to be like, well, you didn't play in any qualifiers, so no invite for you.
I mean, I
There is an
guarantee
evil
you,
part of me that kind of wants that kind of thinks that would be funny.
I guarantee you there are actually a lot of players that didn't actually play in this qualifier assuming they'd get invited. Like I guarantee you Lambo and Showtime, especially because they're local, because they're from Germany. Like I guarantee you that I mean typically they do invite the local German
Yeah.
talent, so they also I imagine didn't play in the qual. I mean they could have
And even
played
if
in
they
the
don't, they
qualifier.
just kind of drive down. Even if they don't play, they just kind of
Mhm.
drive down and as a guest.
Yeah, so they're going to be a part of it anyway. So that's why like this qualifier is kind of it's kind of weird, right? Because I feel like a lot of players chose not to because they feel like they probably don't need to, but others did, and it's like, yeah, it's a little
Oh
bit messy.
man, I I can just imagine how it'll be like, because I'm not sure what the capacity is going to be for Home Story Cup, but I can imagine what it's going to be like if there are, say, I think like usually it's 12 invited players, something like that. There are possibly, I don't know, maybe 20 or so players who might be assuming that they're invitees, and you know, 8 who are gonna have a wake up call if that happens.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna be wild if Home Story Cup rolls around and the invites get announced, and then Showtime's like, guys,
Guys,
why am I not invited? I'm literally the runner up of the last tournament. What's going on? Like
and it'll be like,
what's happening right
and it'll be
now?
like, oh, we just kind of assumed you would have driven down anyway.
Yeah, it's like, but I want to play in the tournament. They're like, no,
It's like,
so,
well, should have played in the qualifiers.
yeah. So it's yeah, a little bit messy, but
Well, we'll
regardless,
see. Yeah,
hope the
yeah,
event goes well and look
yeah. We'll
forward
see
to
how
the.
it goes. I think. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think there definitely is a way to. There is definitely a way to do the qualifiers first and then draft your kind of invite list based on the qualifiers from there. And I have faith that Take will be able to figure that out as well. But Yeah, it can be a bit disorienting to say the least, like you were mentioning.
Yeah. I almost wish they. I think maybe a better way of doing it is you have the players that you're going to be inviting 100%. You like announce maybe them first. That'd be like maybe the first half. Then you do the qualifier, and then you have like your second wave of invites that you would like dictate because of the qualifiers as well, of who was expressing interest and who was competing and who did well but didn't quite make it. Like that's where you can like take that into consideration. Um, yes, maybe some kind of a hybrid style like that, but
yeah.
Regardless, congratulations to Clem.
Called
He
the
qualified.
Congratulations, Clem. Yeah. Congratulations to
Qualified.
Clem and for qualifying to an event he 100% would have been part of anyway.
True.
Well, never say 100%, right? I feel like minute I say that, take a Naruto, I'm gonna be like, all right, because of what you said, we're gonna have some spicy invites.
Mm-hmm. There you go. But the second qualifier, I believe, is going to be coming up soon as well. It's going to be on the 12th. It's going to be on the 12th of October, so next week. Next week is going to be the second qualifier, so I wish the best of luck to all the players that are going to be taking part in that, whether it's Zan rocking up again, Gumiho, and maybe some others.
Yeah, I just looked at this. I kind of assumed that there would be more, but yeah, there are only 2 qualifiers and only 2 players who will make it from the qualifiers. Okay, that's a bit more.
It's a pretty big deal.
That's a bit more. Yeah, that's a bit more.
Literally only 2 players from
a
the
bit
qualifiers.
More questionable.
Yeah, so the opportunities are very low for that, which is why they're quite excluded. Yeah. There's a reason why a lot of people are upset.
I see this now. Okay. I understand now. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But regardless, wish Take the best when it comes to organizing the event. Moving on, we do have the beginning of all the Open Cups. As always, there are 5 open tournaments every single week. We have the Sparkling Tuna Cup, we have the Tenacious Turtle Tussle, we have the Horny TV Monday, the KFC, and the Ursa Saurus Cup as well.
Indeed, lots of Open Cups.
Okay, take it away.
Open. Alrighty, here we go. We're kicking it off with the first one that took place since the last PondCast. Took place on last Saturday. Was Sparkling Tuna Cup number 66, and this was the one that really impressed. Specifically, Trigger really impressed us.
Oh yeah, we spoke earlier about Trigger defeating Oliveira. We spoke about how over the past couple of weeks, Trigger has been improving quite a lot. For those who do not know, Trigger is currently residing in South Korea. He has been practicing, he has been training, he has been improving, and clearly it is now showing off in these tournaments in results.
Absolutely. I mean, he went through a tear here. He only dropped a single map to Geralt, and he 3-0'd Nightmare in the grand finals. Beating Nightmare is one thing. Having that clean sweep, that is dominant. And that's ping wasn't a factor or anything like that either. Ping, time zones, well, okay, maybe time zones. I don't know how much of a DJ Nightmare is these days, but this was as equal as can be, and Trigger wiped the floor with the most feared PvP player for quite a while.
Yeah, exactly. Like Trigger, he was looking very on point in these PvPs. As you mentioned, did drop a map to Geralt, but was able to take down Rebellion 2-0 and Nightmare 3-0 as well. This is the event that I was referring to earlier, where I remember coming into the semifinals. I was mentioning Geralt. I was like, oh, there's no Cristiano. And he replied with a smiley face. He was like, there's no Cristiano this week. Let's go. He was like, I'm tired of him. I don't want to play him again. So there was no Cristiano. And again, Geralt, he did look good here in the semifinals. But alas, did go down and went down to the eventual winner, the eventual champion of the entire tournament. Again, Trigger is definitely one to keep an eye on in the coming weeks and the coming months. He has been getting better and better, and we'll see if that rate continues.
Indeed. I'm definitely hoping for something like for this rate to keep on going, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but if this does continue at the same rate, I feel like it's only a matter of time before Trigger could potentially overtake Estrella as the NA representative.
It's possible. It is impossible, so we'll keep an
see.
eye out for that. Yeah, speaking of Australia, the next morning, we had the Tenacious Turtles
Yes.
Tussle. Also, I should emphasize that Sparkling Tuna Cup and Tenacious Turtles Tussle, they're both events organized and hosted by us here at the CranKy Ducklings. Here in the TTT, we did not have Trigger. This was the following morning, so Trigger was sound asleep. Trigger
was being a
actually
good
did...
boy.
He did show up in the chat, though. He did show up in the chat afterwards,
Okay.
so it looks like he missed check-ins. He woke up like an hour into the tournament.
Well,
Shaking my head.
he was having a normal sleep schedule, so.
Mhm. There you go.
And what
there
time
you
would
go.
it have been there? Like 8 a.m. or yeah, I think 8 a.m. in
Yes.
Korea.
Yeah. The tournament does start
Yeah.
at 8 a.m. So I think he woke up at around 9, which is still it's pretty good. It's pretty good. You know, the sun was up.
I woke up at 1 p.m. today, so no shade.
Oh no.
That's 2 p.m. Korea, so no
Not like
shade.
this. Not like this.
No, I lied. I say 1 p.m. It was more like 1:40.
But we had some very impressive results coming into this. We had Estrella as the NA representative. He went up against Bjorn in the semifinals and took him down 2-0. Very powerful, very impressive play there out of Estrella. There were some very tense games, very tense mid-game as well between Bjorn and Estrella. Estrella was able to come out on top. And yeah, I mean, honestly, after that series, I was pinning him to win it all. Likewise, Nightmare continues his bit of a rivalry between him and Shin. Went to the ace match. Nightmare brought Shin down just barely. Fun fact: they played on Dynasty in the ace match.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You don't need to finish that sentence. I feel. You
I
don't need to
just-
finish that train of thought. Just
I mean,
painting the picture for everyone. It
at
was
this point,
Dynasty.
the next time I cast Shin, I'm gonna message him and I'm gonna tell him to veto Dynasty. It's over. It's over. Just stop. Oh god. Aye.
Or reverse psychology him. Yeah.
Oh no.
You're like, I think the spine rush is really good on Dynasty.
I've seen it work like once. But regardless, Nightmare did come out on top.
But hey,
and
that means it works. It worked once. That means it
Uh-huh.
works. That means it can work.
It can work. It can work. It can. God damn it, shit. But that led into a PvP finals very similar to the previous nights, right? I mean, shout out to Nightmare, by the way, for, you know, competing in both events, actually making it to the finals in both events. He went down to Trigger 3-0, but Nightmare brought Estrella down 3-1, venting his frustrations on another NA player.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, you know, Trigger. He took out Nightmare.
Yeah.
Estrella.
Yeah. Yeah, Estrella.
Max.
Oh my god. But yeah, Estrella
That's
versus
gonna be
Nightmare
the-
was. Go on.
Yeah, talk about the match first before I go into nonsense.
I was gonna say, Estrella versus Nightmare was really interesting. It was a long series as well. It may have only been 4 games.
A long
to go to the ace match.
PvP?
We had a lot of mid and late game, a lot of mid game, a lot of late game play between the two of them, and a lot of this series came down to balls. There were a lot of disruptors, a lot of purification overs in the mid game, back and forth. And Nightmare was actually getting the better of Estrella more often than not. It was quite impressive that he was able to look that good. What I will say as a stark difference is that Trigger did embrace the later game a lot more than Estrella did. Where Trigger didn't really get stuck in disruptor wars. We actually saw Sky Toss between Trigger and Nightmare, which we didn't really see too much between Estrella and Nightmare.
Interesting.
What were you gonna
Possibly
say?
why as well. So, I was gonna say the next Max Angel movie, Max Angel Generations, Trigger. He's the rookie on the job, and
Yes.
Estrella has to mentor him.
I want to believe. But I do remember
That's
Trigger
my
being in the chat watching Estrella versus Nightmare and cheering for Estrella and lamenting when Novas would pop off in favor of Nightmare. So yeah, it was a really exciting PvP is what I will say. It was very close, but again, Nightmare would a little bit more often than not catch Estrella off guard with those Novas and pop off with them as well and be able to outposition. So really impressive stuff out of Nightmare. But a shout out to Estrella because I didn't want that score, that result to take away from the fact that Estrella 2-0'd Bjorn.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
2-0 Bjorn. I closed the tab already, but also the match before
Geralt.
Beyond taking out Geralt. Yeah, taking out Geralt as well. Very impressive stuff.
Yeah. Like Astrea, he looked good. It's just PvP can be very chaotic, and
Yeah.
it's PvP, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's PvP. Sometimes you win it, sometimes you don't. That's
Yeah.
PvP.
That's PvP.
Oh yeah, that's PvP. You know,
Okay.
you either win it or you lose it. You know.
Mhm. And speaking of, we do have later on that evening after the Tenacious Turtle Tussle, we have the Awardy TV Monday number 4. And this is the tournament that I was referring to earlier when we spoke about Oliveira's show match against Dark, how Oliveira brought him down in the ace match, as all the show matches go to the ace. And likewise, Oliveira also brought down Dark 2-1 in a best of 3.
Yeah, all the way to the ace once again.
Mhm.
Yeah, pretty impressive stuff coming out here from Oliveira. Did also take a game off of Max Pax, which is, I'm gonna be honest, that's still pretty surprising to me. Lights. I know Oliveira has gotten a lot better in the matchup, but still, it's still his weakest matchup, and Max Pax is no slouch either.
Yeah, honestly, Oliveira was on
Great.
fire that night. Like, he 2-0'd Gumiho, he 2-1 Dark, and even in his series against Max Pax, he didn't look bad. But the series was actually quite short. The games that Max Pax won, Max Pax, he went 4-gate blink and just killed Oliveira with 4-gate blink. Like, both games that he won.
Yeah.
Like,
So it's game 1, 4-gate blink, and
Yep.
then he was like, all right, that worked. And in game 2, he lost, so it was like, all right, well, back to what I know works.
Yep.
On the ace
That's
match, yeah.
pretty much what. In game 2, Max Pax did not go 4-gate blink, and that's why he lost. And that's
Yep.
So Oliveira looked really good in that series, but alas, Max Pax, I mean, he does have, like, I would say probably the best 4-gate blink in the world. It's
Yeah.
what he's known for, and what he popularized as well. So it's just Max Pax's style and what he's best at. On the other side of the bracket, we had Clem popping off, and again, he is still the best player in the world, and he went on a tear. He did Beyond proud. Beyond wasn't able to really have too much of a performance here, but Clem took down every Protoss in his side.
Oh, yeah. Taking him down 2-0 with the exception of Max Pax, who did take a map off him, but even still, took out Zound, took out Trap, took out Nightmare, took out everyone in his path.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we were talking about the kind of online rivalry between Clem and Max Pax that's been going on for months at this point, and for quite a while it seemed like they were going back and forth, but ever since CWC, I don't remember Max Pax ever taking a series off Clem.
I actually spoke about that during the finals as well, about how I 100% agree. Like, Clem and Max Pax, they used to have more of a back and forth rivalry, but ever since EWC, or I should say, ever since Clem returned from Korea, because when he was in Korea, they never played because they were in different time zones. But ever since his return from Korea, Clem has been looking more dominant. He has been having these 3-0s or 3-1s, and like week after week after week, it's been more in favor of Clem, which I mean is impressive on one side, but it's something that I don't think a lot of people have quite acclimated to yet. I think a lot of people, when they see these results, they're still like in shock as to how good Clem is right now. It's crazy.
I still almost can't believe it. Like, yeah. I'm looking at the past, I'm looking at the head-to-head between the two of them, and it's just so Clem favored. I'm like, that doesn't sound right to me. I've witnessed a couple of these series. I've gone through these results with you in these past couple of weeks, but I'm like, did Clem really win all of them? It's like, I mean, I shouldn't be surprised, but I still am. I still expect Max Pax to, like, take a series here and there against him.
Yeah, and again, Max Pax is still an amazing player. It's just the caliber of player that Clem currently is it feels like on another level. So it's, I mean, even to the point where, I mean, Clem even off-races Protoss in the Home Straight Cup qualifier. Like, it's crazy that he's feeling confident
and qualified.
Yeah. Beat Gumiho with his Protoss. Showtime couldn't even do that.
Yeah.
Showtime catching strays.
He's been catching strays a lot this episode.
That's true. That's true. I love you, Showtime. I love you. I apologize.
We love you, Toby. Yes. I don't know if he likes being called Toby. We love you, Bauer.
But yeah, it's It's Clem, Bobby. It's Clem.
Clem, who after the Wardy TV Monday stayed up a little bit longer and
Mm-hmm.
also won the Kalaris Steadfast Roddy Cup, KFC, if you will.
There you go. Yeah, it does stand for the KFC. Clem, not dropping a single map in the entirety of the tournament. Clem even off raced. He went
Yeah.
Protoss against Eva. Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Eba was also off racing in that
True.
match, so
Yeah. Did play Zerg.
yeah. That's
There
a
you go.
major hint.
That's something on the off race, by the way. I don't know if you noticed. Acheron, he played Protoss. Against Clem.
He did. Oh, that was that wise? Well, it was definitely wise because win or lose, you don't want to play a TVT.
Yeah. Do you think Clem asked him? Do you think Clem was like, I really just want to beat on some Protoss right now?
I think it was more. I think it was more a case of Clem was like, "Yo, can I play Protoss because I don't want to play the TVT?" And then Acheron was like, "But I don't want to play a TVP.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather play a PVT."
Yeah, there you go. There was some compromising going on, but yeah, congratulations to Clem for winning these back-to-back Open Cups. A shout out to Ewa for making it to the semis, and as well as Lemon as well.
Yeah, shout out to Eba and Lemon, who are two players who, first off, we don't normally expect to see. Well, I guess more so Lemon than Eba, who we don't normally expect to see play in KFC, but also players who we don't typically expect to make it this far. Lemon came here, made it all the way to the semis, taking out Gemini. Had a little bit of a Taiwan rumble, taking out Rex in the quarterfinals. So yeah, the Taiwanese players doing pretty well this week.
Do you notice something in the bracket, Yaku?
I noticed quite a few things. I want to say shout out to Dolan for making it to the quarterfinals. Very own CranKy Duckling Dolan.
Have a look at Rex, mate. Have a look at Rex for a little bit. What did Rex do in this tournament? What did he do?
Well, nothing too surprising, really. I mean, he took out a Protoss player. He took out two Protoss players. You know, one of them happens to go by the name of MaxFax, but not too surprising.
Yeah, I mean, Rex is from the superior region, so I mean, there's no big surprise there. But Rex, he took down MaxFax 2-1. I wasn't able to watch this. I don't know if it got casted. I hope it did, but that is a wild result. And remember, this is right after the Wardy TV Monday. This is right after MaxX went down to Clem, and for Rex to rock up in a ZVP, that is insane.
Rex is, that is absolutely insane. Taking out one of, if not the best Protoss player in the world in a 2-1 like this. Rex in these past couple of weeks, I feel like he has. Every week, he has one silver bullet where he's just the unlikely player, the massive wild card who will take out one heavy favorite in the tournament. He's a hitman, essentially, of these weekly tournaments. I remember a couple of weeks back, he took out Dark in a massive upset, and this week he's taking out MaxFax in a huge upset as well. Rex, man, he has one target every week. I gotta know who's paying him.
Yeah,
he has one target every week that he just has to take out. And that's his job done.
I'll be honest, watching Rex over the past couple of months, and especially in WTL, Rex is almost like he's like harnessed the power of Haas. He's not like insanely cheesy, but he has some sniper builds. 100%. He has some sniper builds where he comes with a 2 base all in, a 1 base all in, like these very specialized kind of like approaches to certain maps. And that's how he's able to catch out players like Cure, players like Dark, like these otherwise.
That's the other one.
Yeah, these otherwise big names that are typically above kind of like his kind of weight class, but he's able to do it anyway. He's unable to do it like consistently, but every now and then he's able to bring one of them down. Yeah, it's just really cool that, I mean, now MaxFax, he's another victim.
Yeah. I really like how you phrase it as well, just punching above his weight there. It really does feel like he just meditates for a little while, harnesses the power, and then he has one really strong punch to knock out one player. And you know, hopefully he's going to be able to continue this. Hopefully he's going to be able to continue and kind of build on top of that. I know he did mention recently, or I say recently, this was months ago now. He did mention that he wants to focus more on content creation rather than competitive play, but he's still got a lot of potential here. Just looking at these results.
Yeah, I have to wonder if maybe that's a part of it, like because maybe he's focusing on like content creation, like he's exploring the game a little bit more, and he's finding like these quirky builds and these quirky play styles, and then he's been able that allows him to be more creative, and it actually works here at the highest level as well. Again, it doesn't have the consistency, but like it's one of those things where if you're a pro player and if you see Rex like charging up that punch, you want to get out of the way, like like
Oh
you don't want
yeah.
to be there when it goes off, like no one is safe.
Yeah, he is discovering the secrets of the universe. Yeah.
Mhm. He is. He is. So shout out to Rex, and I'm sure if it wasn't for Rex, it would have been a Clem Max Pax rematch. So that was denied. Rex did shut Max Pax down. Last, it was a short-lived victory as Lemon brought him down as well. We spoke about Lemon. We spoke about how he was the previous edition's Sunrise or last week's Sunrise Cup champion, and how Rex has been doing. Lemon has been doing really well recently. Unfortunately, Lemon he won't be a part of the full edition of Sunrise Cup. He's an amazing player, and I hope to see more of him. He was even able to bring Geralt to the ace match.
Yeah, nicely done here. Lemon, who didn't really offer us that much this in this tournament at least, and play Terran. He can play
Um,
both.
he can. Didn't pull a Clem, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But a shout out to Geralt. Geralt, we've been praising him, of course. He's currently looking for a team, but he's been doing very well, winning a lot of these online tournaments. And here he made it all the way to face off against Clem. Did fall to Clem, but again, Clem, I mean, he's a beast right now, and it's hard for anyone, even Max Pax, to really put a dent in Clem. So did fall in the end to Clem, but did have a really impressive performance, making it to the finals. He went to the ace match against Gigi Machine, went to the ace against Young Yakov, and to the ace against Mixu. Actually, some really close series. On that way to the finals.
Yeah, a little bit of a slugfest there for Geralt, but yeah, unfortunately, by the time he got to the final checkpoint, he was up against the end game boss.
Yeah.
He used up all his potions that when he
Mhm.
got to the final boss, he just
Yeah, it was a bit much, but regardless, a very strong performance there by Geralt. And again, like there's not many that can say that they can work through all those players to make it to those finals as well. So is definitely deserving to be on a team, definitely deserving to garner support. So hopefully that does occur. Heading on over, we have the final weekly. It was the following morning after the KFC where we hosted, or that we were able to be a part of, the Orsisaurus Cup number 4.
indeed, with one player in particular
Mhm.
making a little bit of a re-debut in these online events, Hero.
Yes.
Big name who has been missing for months, at least when it comes to the Open Cups,
Mhm.
came back in here to this week.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So Hero was less vocal about where he vacationed, but I'm pretty sure,
He,
like some other players,
there, you think that was for his own safety? Let's be real. If he mentioned where he was vacationing, you know, 100% Solo would have been putting the hit on him.
Oh yeah, you say Björn as well. Most likely would have gotten involved. You know, there's a bit of a hit out on some of these Protoss players. So, but yes, Hero post EWC and even leading up to EWC, as you mentioned, he was staying away from online tournaments and Open Cups. Post EWC, Hero he went on vacation. He did take a hiatus, and this is Hero's first tournament in quite some time.
Yeah, first Open tournament in quite some time, made it all the way to the finals, which was, I mean, again, Hero, he is considered the best. He is the best Protoss player in the world for a reason. So
Mhm.
it's probably not too unexpected that he made it all the way to the finals. 100%, I feel like we could have had a Hero Dark Finals, which is something that we had for weeks on end in ESL Open Cup Asia, but Björn is still mad at Protoss, and Björn said, Dark, I'm not convinced you can take him out. I'm advancing to the finals. I have to be the one to take out the Protoss player, the best Protoss player in the world.
Yeah, this was like a nice like redemption run for Björn, because if you remember, I think it was like last week, or it was 2 weeks ago, and even last week as well, where Björn was a little more dominant in the online Open Cups, where he was like winning or even just coming second place in almost everything. As we saw this week, he wasn't as successful. This week, he didn't sign up for STC or TTT. He was a part of the Wardy TV Monday, but he got knocked out earlier on.
Yeah. He was harnessing his power. He was saving it for Hero.
Hmm. Yeah, we kind of glossed over it. My apologies. But in the Wardy TV Monday, he went down to Ryung, so he got TVT sniped by
Oh, I mean,
Ryung.
that's
Like,
wrong. So
yeah, yeah, it's just unlucky kind of round of 16 match for Beyond there. But yeah, like he's had a bit of a rougher week this time, but at least he's able to end the week with a win. And not an easy one either, taking down Geralt, Dark, and Hero.
yeah, threw a little bit of a gauntlet there. But yeah, did come up on top. As you said, kind of redeemed himself for these past. You say redeemed, I say this was planned from Beyond.
Uh-huh. You say he was just like, yeah, he was kind of like building up and storing his energy, and then he saw the
Yeah.
bracket, he saw Hero sign up, he's like, nah, I got you.
He felt at the beginning of the week, he felt a disturbance. He felt like, wait a minute, I feel like I should be. There's something that I need to be wary of. And then and then in the end of the week, Ursasaurus Cup, he saw, who told you? Who let you break out of the hell that you were banished to?
You're like, who said you could play in StarCraft? What's going on, mate? What's going on? So Bjorn sniped the final tournament.
I am just remembering now. I feel like it was over the weekend, actually. I think on Saturday. Now that I remember, Bjorn also did post that he literally climbed a mountain. So
True. No, yeah.
I forgot about that until just now.
I
That is
remember.
how he heard that there was a disturbance. There was something that he had to do. He said, "Okay, I don't know why, but I have to climb this mountain." And at the top of the mountain, he received revelations. He received the secret message of how to defeat the great evil that is Hero.
So, in my mind, I thought you were gonna say that like he was in the middle of his vacation. He was taking some time off. He was climbing the mountain. He got to the peak. He got to the tip, and it was when he got there that it came to him, this revelation. That's when he found out that Hero was returning, and then he came back from the wilderness. He came back from his kind of journey in the mountains just to bring down Hero.
Yeah.
There you go. Here's his pilgrimage, if you will.
Exactly.
But what I was gonna say,
learn how to shout, if I'm remembering my lore correctly.
But for those who are unfamiliar, it's on Instagram. Bjorn, he actually went mountain climbing with Crater.
Oh,
yeah. They went together. Yeah, so they were up there in the mountains, just touching grass and convening with nature, and trying to remember why it was they don't go outside anymore, and now never again. Never. But yeah, it's always really cool to see when players are interacting outside of just the game. So really cool to hear that from Bjorn. But I guess that's also why he wasn't taking part in a lot of these online tournaments this week. He was busy elsewhere.
Yeah. It's on that pilgrimage, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have access to a computer when he was touching grass.
There you go.
The grass weakened him,
mm-hmm.
but also made him strong.
Yeah. There was a give and take there. So congratulations to Bjorn for taking down Hero, and of course, welcome back to Hero. This does mark his return, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing more of Hero in the coming weeks, leading into these next big events. Speaking of, that is the conclusion of the Open Cups, and we can go over the Wardy TV Festival. If you remember, last week when we were hosting the PondCast, the Wardy TV Festival, I believe that we're in the middle of Group C.
Yeah, indeed, that was what happened. When we covered it, Group A and B had already went underway. You were asking us for some predictions for Group C and for Group D, and now the entire event has concluded.
Yeah, so quickly going over Group C, we have a very interesting kind of hierarchy here. Young Yakov was coming in as the more underdog player, so alas, he was knocked out. Oliveira did have a bit of a harder...
Though.
Yeah, did take a series, you're not wrong. Did take a series off of Nightmare of all players and took a map off of Oliveira. Oliveira had a harder time. He went to the ace match against MaxPax, went to the ace match against Cure, but these are only best of threes, and making it to the ace match is not good enough. So Oliveira likewise did not make it out of the group.
Yeah, in the end, it was Cure, Nightmare, and MaxPax coming out here. So once again, Cure was somebody who I kind of didn't really count on last week. think I mentioned that Cure had a decent chance of making it out, but it was between. I think I said specifically it was between him, Max Max, and Oliveira. No, Cure came out at number one in this group, which again just goes to show that even though he is still a world class player, like I was having trouble placing his form last week,
Mhm.
but he is still world class. Yeah, he is still a top tier player, and he made it. He made it to the playoffs as the number one seed.
Yeah, I mean, I echo those sentiments. If you recall, I was also like, yeah, it's kind of hard to place Cure at the moment. I mean, he toured Max Packs. That's
Yeah,
crazy. Like I know Max Packs has been having a hard time against Clem, but everyone's been having a hard time against Clem, so that doesn't say much. So for Cure to bring down Max Packs, that is very impressive. Not dropping he did drop a map to Oliveira, of course, but that was the only map that Cure dropped.
the only map that he dropped, and he didn't lose a single. Well, I guess it's kind of implied that you don't lose a series if you're going to be making out first, but sometimes the math can work out that way.
Mhm. Yeah, that it can. Meanwhile, we have Group D as well, and this was wild. Shin is a player that we have been hyping up over the past couple of weeks. Shin has been doing very well in these online tournaments. Not so much this week, though. We went over the Open Cups, and Shin, he did make it to, the quarterfinals or the semifinals at times, but no big wins for Shin. Part of it is his ZVP and his need to not veto Dynasty time and time again. But Shin was able to showcase his skill here, and he did not drop a series.
No, he did not. He didn't drop a series, even against Clem. So he beat
Yeah.
Clem once again here.
Mhm.
The last time that happened was, I think, 2 weeks ago in the Wardy TV Monday.
Yep.
And he actually also beat Trigger on Dynasty.
Not again. Trigger was the one player
In the
that
ace match.
Shin's Spine Rush worked against, if you remember. It's Sparkling Tuna Cup. God damn it. Do you think he must have done it again? He
100%.
must have.
He absolutely spine rushed, yeah.
God damn it. It's Trigger's
works,
fault
you
that he
know?
keeps doing it now. God damn it.
Yeah, should have
But,
just defended. Should have just beat him.
True. Very strong performance here out of Shin. I can also say Trigger and Cristiano, they barely didn't make it out. They actually had a similar score to Ryung, but the map score itself was slightly more in favor of Ryung, so Ryung did end up coming out on top. Ryung took a map off of Clem, didn't quite beat him, but there were a lot more ace. I mean, every single series that Ryung was involved in went to the ace match, so he was able to take some maps and edge out that third place.
Yeah. Only beating Cristiano here, but like you said, it's the same series score as Cristiano and Trigger. So it really was the fact that he pushed every single series to the ace match that put him a little bit over ahead. And speaking of ace matches, also went to the ace match against Nightmare here in the playoffs in round 12.
Ooh, yeah, heading over to the playoffs we have. I mean, the entirety of the event did take place over the course of 2 days, over the course of the weekend. Some big results coming in. Clem and Max Fax, they went to the ace match, what I will say. So Max Fax was able to pose a much stronger fight here against Clem, but it is such a shame that they faced off in the first round.
Yeah, that could have definitely been the finals. In
could've.
fact, that has been the finals in a couple of weeklies that we've casted.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a shame. Obviously, the reason why they faced off in the first round is because, I mean, they kind of, they underperformed in the group stage, right? Clem came second in his group, and Max Fax came third in his group. So we expected, I mean, if they had made it into higher seeding, then they would have avoided each other. But because of how wild the group stage was, it was more brutal in the playoffs.
Yeah, if Clem made it up first in his group, or if Max Fax was, I think, even just his second in his group, they would have been on opposite sides of the bracket. Without a doubt. But it's just how it goes sometimes,
Yeah, I mean, it shows like how important the group stage really is as well when it comes to seeding that bracket. So that's a big win there for Clem. We have Rogue taking down Creator. This might have been the series that instigated the mountain climb. It's possible. But Creator did go down to Rogue in the first round. Nightmare took down Ryung, got his revenge, and Trap took down Gumiho 3-0.
Yeah, Trap going on a little bit of a tear here in the playoffs. Taking out Gumiho 3-0. Taking out Shin as well,
Yeah,
3-0. But of course, a big caveat there: they did not play on Dynasty.
thank God. Actually, I wish they did.
Sheer
I wish
relief
Trap
in
3-0
the
Trap.
sheer
Sorry,
relief in your voice.
I wish Trap 3-0 Shin and they played all 3 games on Dynasty. That's what I. that's what I wish. God damn it.
You just want Shin to be trapped in a hell loop where he plays on Dynasty over and over and over again, and he always loses.
Like it's a good build to whip out every now and then, but like every time he vetoes in
Too
the best of 3, he
predictable,
just
yeah.
lets it go through. I just, God damn it. ah. Regardless, very strong performance by Trap, as you mentioned, to make it to the semifinals. Nightmare took down Showtime 3-1. Again, honestly, really strong showing by Nightmare as well to bring down Ryung, to bring down Showtime. I mean, Nightmare, we have been hyping him up as of late. That's why it's also, that much more exciting to hear that Nightmare did recently join a team after, I'm sure, some of these performances.
Yeah. We also have Clem taking out Byun 3-0. And Cure taking out Rogue 3-0 for the rest of those quarterfinals.
Yeah, very strong showings from Cure and Clem. Then they clashed in the semifinals. Interesting.
And that's what Cure wanted.
Yeah.
The number one Clem fanboy in the world is.
True.
I wish I could claim that, but unfortunately I have to give it to Cure.
Exactly. And Cure did take a map. So Cure and Maxpax were the only 2 to take maps off of Clem. Clem did win it in the end. Trap and Nightmare went all the way to game 5 in the semifinals and all the way to the H match. Trap, he barely won that out. And then we had our finals.
Yep, which was a pretty familiar story. Clem 3-0ing Protoss. In this case, it was Trap.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that the finals was the best of 5. Actually, never mind. I was gonna say that I expected the finals to be a best of 7 because the semis were best of 5s, but it just hit me that every game in the playoffs was a best of 5, like every series. These are some long matches. It's a long playoff.
Yeah, and this was all. Yeah, the playoffs were all played out through the course of. Over the course of 2 days. So very long, very long playoffs. So I can't fault Wardy too much for wanting to have a little bit of a more compact finals here.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense especially because like everything's casted, everything's streamed, and it is just the
group stage as well was streamed, although that was over the course of the week itself, as opposed to the weekend.
For sure. But congratulations to Clem as he does get the 3-0 over Trap. Again, it was still a very impressive run from Trap to make it that far, considering that Trap only recently, I say recently, came back from the military. Now that goes to Zaun as the freshest player back from the military. But Trap, it's only been a couple of months. Like, again, it hasn't been too long since he's returned. So players like Trap, players like Rogue, their rate of improvement has been quite impressive as well.
Yeah. I was not really counting on Rogue. I was not really expecting much out of Rogue and Trap coming into this tournament, but yeah, for Rogue to make it out as second in his group and then make it all the way to the quarterfinals, losing only to Cure here in the playoffs anyway, losing to Cure, who was looking very solid, was the only top number 1 group stage seed to actually win his playoff series. So Cure was definitely very much in form there, and yeah, for Trap to not only make it all the way to the finals, but to also 3-0 Shin, although they didn't play on Dynasty, so maybe again, that's a little bit of a caveat, and also 3-0 Gumiho. Very impressive stuff coming out from our veterans, shall we call them, our returning from the military, our ROD, relieved off duties.
Yeah, the ex-military Protoss Trap. I mean, I would have favored Shin, Gumiho, and maybe I would have said Nightmare was close. I would have said that would have been the closest series.
Nightmare and Trap would have been 50-50, which, again, well, but Nightmare, again, from being another one of those recent military returnees, was the one who actually had the closest series against Trap, other than Clem here.
Yeah. So it's just really interesting to see to see. I mean, it's really exciting to see Trap having a performance like this. Like I would have favored Shin and Gumiho to make it that far. So I would say it's an upset for Trap to make it to the finals, which bodes well for Trap fans. Gemini, I'm sure he was over the moon. Like,
Oh, without a doubt.
oh god, very hyped for this. Very excited. But yeah, with that, congratulations to Clem. That does conclude the Wardy TV Festival. It was an entire week plus long event. We do have now our Wardy TV champion in Clem. And again, the question is still nowadays, can anyone stop him? You know, when will the era of Clem kind of be over, if ever?
Yeah. We shall see. I mean, Raynor has a pretty decent record against Clem recently, but first off, he's the only one who actually has a record against Clem.
True.
In recent months, anyway. Second off, they still do go back and forth. It is still a bit more 50-50 as opposed to Raynor being Clem's kryptonite. And third of off, somehow, at least in the last couple of tournaments, or last couple of like major tournaments, particularly the Bulgaria Cup, they avoid each other. Mostly because of Oliveira.
Yeah. And speaking of other big major events, we have the big Liulu Cup #2, which is currently ongoing. I believe even some matches are happening as we speak, as it is going over the course of this week and this weekend. Yep, so it is a current ongoing event.
Yeah, no spoilers, but I just took a little peek over at Bilibili, and it looks like they are covering the upper bracket round 3.
Oh, okay. So they're covering the round 3 as we speak. But we can go over the results that have currently come in. As a reminder, I believe this was mainly an invite tournament. So we have quite a wide array of players here. The first round was packed. It was stacked. We have, I mean, the players we would expect to be seeing. MaxPax having a really good run so far, though. MaxPax, he takes down Shin 2-0, Rogue 2-1. Did drop a map to Rogue. And he 3-0s Nightmare.
Ooh, nicely done here for MaxPax.
I feel like this is the run that MaxPax wanted in the Wardy TV Festival. It's just that he faced Clem in the first round. But now that there's no Clem, at least for now, MaxPax is having a much more dominant showing here. Like this is what people wanted, I'm sure, out of the Wardy TV Festival.
Yeah, there's a very high chance, obviously. Well, Clem and Dark, that could go. I would favor Clem a bit more in that, but could go either way. But yeah, there's a really good chance that we have a Clem MaxPax upper bracket final, and then later on another Clem MaxPax grand final as well.
It's possible. It's possible. When it comes to other results coming in, though, Nightmare, he takes down Beyond 2-1. That's a big result.
Insane.
Bringing down Beyond 2-1 in a best of 3. Not just that, Nightmare takes down Hero 2-0 as well. Now, I will preface this in saying that Hero, he still just came back from a break, from a bit of a vacation. But despite that, we saw Hero make it to the finals of the previous Ursasaurus Cup. So he's still, it's not like, you know, he's a walkover or anything like that. But yeah, Nightmare, some big results there in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, very nice here for Nightmare. Yeah, very nice here for Nightmare. Just looking at some of these other results that we're getting in here. Clem taking out Classic 2-1, but Classic taking a map off of Clem. Pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, Classic is a player that we haven't seen much recently, right? Like, kind of like Hero, it feels like maybe Classic is also taking a break. Like, he's also, like, going on a bit of a vacation post-EWC.
Yeah, he's played in a couple of show matches, but yeah,
true. Yeah, he's been less active is maybe a better way of putting it. But regardless, to take a game off of Clem, not many Protoss players can say they've done that. So very impressive stuff there at a Classic. Once again, another rematch between Clem and Kior. Happened in the Wardy TV Festival. Happens here as well. This time, though, in a best of 3, not a best of 5.
Yeah. And even still, Clem ends up taking the W there. You know, we have Gumiho versus Oliveira. Very close match going on there. And Oliveira taking a map, but Gumiho winning in the end. Losing to Dark in the next round, but yeah, I've still got my eyes on Gumiho. I still think that he's in form right now.
Definitely. I mean, Oliveira and Gumiho, that could have gone either way. They are both very strong in the TVT matchup, went all the way to the ace match, and I feel like I kind of wish that was like a best of 5 or something, just even more between the two of them. Regardless, Gumiho does win. Dark took down Trap 2-1. Trap, despite having a very strong performance in the Water TV Festival, will now have to fight his way through, never mind the lower half of the bracket. Trap is already knocked out of the tournament. He went down to Oliveira in the lower bracket. Oh.
There we have it. Oliveira working on that TVP. Be able to take out Trap, and will advance to face Rogue in the next round.
I mean, really, this just shows how competitive this level of play is, where you have so many players that can take each other down. And even though Trap just came second in the Water TV Festival, he's one of the first to be knocked out of this tournament. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's how the seeding can go at times, and even how just your form on the day itself can be at times. This really is, we really are kind of at a level here where we have a couple of clear favorites, but for the most part, whoever shows up that day and whoever brings their A game that day is going to be the one who will win, and it's a little bit more difficult to predict. Is what I'm getting at. I have a good feeling.
Yeah.
I have a good feeling about Creator, though. Well, I usually have good feelings about Creator, but specifically because he just climbed a mountain.
He did. He did.
I have a good feeling.
I mean, both physical and mental as well. I mean, Creator, he took down Classic 2-0. Very impressive. You know, Classic, I would say, is top 2 Protoss in Korea. Maybe the hierarchy is shifting a little bit as of late, but regardless, Classic is still an amazing player. Creator, he was able to knock him out of the tournament. Beyond knocks out Firefly. Shin knocks out Ryung. And we have the lower bracket. The second round of the lower bracket is actually going to be commencing tonight after Clem versus Dark concludes.
Yeah, in just a couple of minutes by the looks of things. So, yeah, that's something to look forward to.
Exactly. Currently, Clem and Dark, the mid-series. Personally, I am looking forward to seeing, you know, the potential Clem Max Pax rematch in the upper bracket finals. I do still kind of pin Clem as the favorite player, but again, Max Pax as the best Protoss in Europe, I'm sure he wants revenge. You know, I'm sure he's aware of like the difference that's been kind of forming between them over the past weeks and over the past months. I'm sure that Max Pax wants that to close. I'm sure he wants that to go back to the way that it was, where it is more back and forth, and I'm sure he has been working on his PVT.
Yeah, I'm sure he has a couple of tricks up his sleeve, a couple of things planned. I mean, he did have that full best of 5 series against Clem, so I would say that right now things probably aren't going to be things aren't looking too one-sided between Clem and Max Pax.
I would hope so. But regardless, again, if you want to tune into this event, it's being covered in multiple languages. It's being covered in English by Wardy, and of course being covered by Indian, Polish. It's being covered by Take TV in German, Pomi, as well as Frex, TKL, Crank Ryung is also casting.
He is.
After playing.
Yeah. Pulling a bit of a Gemini, if you will.
He is. Alongside SC Boy as well. Looks like F91 and some of the other... Oh, Shao Se is casting. Let's go.
Oh, neat.
Of course he is. Yeah, SC Boy. Sorry. For some reason, in my brain, I thought
you were mixing him up with XY.
I was
who does cast every now and then with SC Boy?
I was mixing him up with Sogwa.
Sogwa.
Yeah. For some reason, my brain was like, I haven't seen him in a long time. My apologies. But yeah, SC Boy are going to be covering that.
Look,
as
it all blends together.
does.
The words, they all meld.
But yeah, look forward to the rest of this event. Again, Yaku, predictions. Is Clem going to win it, or can one of these guys stop him?
I have a good feeling about Creator.
Okay.
I wanna root for the Mountain Boys, but I'm looking at the bracket paths, and it looks like they will eventually face each other. You know, if they make it far, they will eventually face each other in the lower bracket round of 5. So, yeah, one of them is, even if that happens, one of them will knock the other out. I mean, I'm always rooting for Creator. I feel like Clem is still looking very solid. Is probably the heavy favorite.
Interesting.
You know what? I gotta go with Clem Max Fax in the next round, and then that will be a okay. That will be a
Uh-huh.
Clem victory,
Okay.
but then Max Fax will come in from the lower bracket finals,
Mhm.
and then win the grand finals.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's my
Okay.
prediction.
Let's go. Um, I
But
feel like okay.
that's my prediction. I'm still rooting for Creator.
Okay. Looking at the bracket here, I'm focusing on the lower half of the bracket. I'm a big Hero fan, but at the moment I'm unconvinced by his form just because again he took a bit of a break. So I feel like he still needs some time to shake the rust off. So despite being a Hero fan, I don't know if I have too much faith. It's what my heart is saying. Looking at these players though, I get a feeling that Rogue is gonna pop off. I
Ooh.
can see him
okay.
having a deep run.
I
Mhm.
I was just gonna say Rogue v Oliveira. That whoever wins that will be the
Mhm.
one who will, I think, really set the tone of the rest
Mhm.
of the lower bracket because Oliveira's TVZ is insane, but Rogue is a tricky boy.
He is. He really is. So I just get a feeling that he's going to do well here, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see.
He did not climb a
Um,
mountain, so
he did not.
keep that in
He
mind.
did not. I think part of me wants to see like a rematch between Rogue and Max Fax. I think Max Fax he gets knocked
Rogue
down,
and
and then
okay,
potentially,
alright.
yeah, Rogue goes up against him again. But we'll see because I mean Oliveira could shut him down, right? Like Oliveira, his
Yeah.
TVZ is insane, so could go either way.
Okay, alright. Kuro, what's your prediction?
A production. It's gonna happen.
Will that be on the test?
Yes.
My prediction. No, I think Clem takes it. I think Clem is
Mhm.
still on the high. I think
Alright.
it's not like soon enough for him to like calm down. I think he's still on fire.
Mhm.
That's what I think.
Alright,
I think
alright.
Oliveira will go far though. For some
Mhm.
reason, I feel like Oliveira will go far in the lower bracket. So there you go.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, hey, Oliveira, he is second place from the Bulgaria event for the offline event, if you
Yeah.
recall. So very, very much so in form. But yeah, do tune in over the next couple of days as this event should be wrapping up over the weekend. So big event and a lot of days of StarCraft ahead of us with the Leo Lu Cup. And we have a very quick update as well. We have confirmation of Forjumi's new team.
Oh, okay.
Here we
It
go.
is-
This. Uh-huh.
Oh. He
This
is
just
in
in.
fact forming the
I was gonna say as of an hour ago.
Okay, as of an hour ago, we do have confirmation Forjumi is forming a dream team of Protoss, if you will. He's gonna be joining Nightmare over on Streamer Zone.
Yeah, Streamer Zone. They pick up Forjumi. Okay, now we have something to work with here. We mentioned before that Nightmare did clarify that it is a team, but we also spoke about how this is also like a bit of a streamer agency. And Nightmare in his post did specify that he was going to be streaming more often recently. So Forjumi feels like a really good fit. We spoke earlier, you even mentioning yourself how he's been making content a lot more. He's been streaming a lot more as well. If Streamer Zone were to pick up another player, does anyone else kind of fit that? Do you think? Or if anyone
Yes.
else, who fits it the most? Who's the most likely?
I would say Harsem, but he's pretty happy on Shopify Rebellion. So, you know what? Mark Schlappy, Thermal.
True. I mean, he is currently
But,
teamless.
yeah. Not sure how active not sure how active he's playing to be though. So
True.
that could be an option if we're looking at content creators.
Yeah, I mean,
who are also competitive.
I mean, Solar used to stream, right?
He did, and Solar, he's fluent in English and Korean.
I'm just saying, like he used to stream, he's fluent in English.
Yeah.
If they got the budget, he could be a pickup.
Yeah.
Could be.
Could be.
Yeah. So we'll see if they sign another player. Is what I'm getting at, because they've got 2 so far, and you mentioned before WTL, you need 3 players. So a third pickup, it's not like out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
So
They should. Yeah, they should sign Geralt though, just to make it
Mhm.
call it the
sign him and make him
the
stream.
offline, yeah, the offline, just to make the offline banner of Forjumi better.
There
And
you
then
go.
they'll team up with Genji for WTL.
Mhm. Beautiful. Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see if Streamer Zone have any other pickups. Again, I feel like if they've already got 2, may as well get a third just for team leagues. So that would make the most sense for them to get a third player. But we'll keep an eye out for that. See if another does join them. Otherwise, I believe those are the events of the week.
I believe so. Oh, look at that. We covered it.
We made it. And of course, if you want to take part in some of these big events, if you want to be notified of any signups or any open cups or open tournaments, then the sign up list is the place to be.
Indeed. It's always getting updated, and we're always adding, or more specifically, Kuro's always adding more open events to it as more information comes out. It's a really good resource, a really good list to just keep track of things you can sign up for.
Exactly. So we currently on the sign up list, we have the next KSL, which is going to be this weekend. We have Sparkling Tuna Cup, we have Tenisoro Tussle, Wardy TV Monday, the Kalar Steadfast Roddy Cup, Code for Giants Cup, StarCraft League number 4, and I'm sure many others will be added to the list as well, like the Little Stormy Cup, for example, and these other open online events. So, yeah, again, if you want to take part, if you want to be notified, if you want to know what's at a good time for you, the sign up list is the place to be.
Indeed. So go give it a look.
Yeah, there you go. With that, we are going to be wrapping up here for the evening, and we had a lot to go over. We had a lot of news coming in, especially when it comes to like player roster changes and team changes and everything going on. But yeah, there's just so much StarCraft happening, so much that I didn't even know of. Like I had no idea there was like a Chicken King Cup and like another Lulu Cup and the 3D Super Cup as well. Like there's a lot happening in StarCraft. The collegiate tournament.
So it can be hard to keep track of, but that's why we keep it in the bite-sized. But that's why we're here to recap them for you.
To bite them.
Yeah. Size them. No, wait.
With that, we are going to be wrapping things up here, Yaku. If people want to find you, if they want to follow you, what's going on in the land of Yaku? What's happening?
I'm not dead, but I'm not fully alive yet. I will not be super. Well, I say this as if I'm active. I'll probably be quiet for a couple of days because I'm still recovering a little bit from sickness. So you can find me in my bed, I guess. So is what I'll say. But other than that, !Discord in the chat if you want to find me or contact me or whatever. We'll bring you to the CranKy Ducklings Discord server, and I'm there, and Light is there, and Kuro is there. Everyone's there.
Yeah, I know you've been a little bit under the weather recently, so thank you for joining us, Yaku. Thank you for finding the time and then for making it out of bed. You can follow myself at light_VIP. I do stream throughout the week. I was streaming yesterday, just a bit of a ladder session and some Final Fantasy. Should be doing the same tomorrow. Wasn't able to do so today. Just a little bit busy, just scheduling and organizing events and all that stuff. But streaming should continue tomorrow. When it comes to casting, when it comes to here on the CranKy Ducklings, our next event is going to be over the weekend. It'll be the KSL, the Korean StarCraft League, on Saturday, as well as Sea Duckling Open, our Bronze to Diamond tournament, on Saturday as well.
And there we go. Do I have the games? I have to wonder.
That's a good question.
Will I be alive by then?
So if you're within the leagues of bronze and diamond, if you want to play in the tournaments, then we're going to be hosting an amateur event over the weekend. Meanwhile, a shout out to Kuro. Kuro, of course, is handling the production of this show and also will be casting over the weekend as well on Saturday. So again, Kuro, another big part of the CranKy Ducklings. Thank you for producing and for adding some fun facts throughout the show. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for not firing us despite the intro.
What do you mean,
Okay.
Yaku, you're fired?
Oh no. Yeah, with that, we are going to be wrapping up. Again, if you want to help support the CranKy Ducklings, you can do so via following us on all the social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord. All things CranKy Ducklings. We stream here on Twitch. We also stream on YouTube. VODs are going to be instantly available as well. And on top of that, you can also support us on Patreon if you wish. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're going to be back with the next podcast next week as we do wrap up the week's news and the week's events. If you have any feedback, let us know when it comes to things to cover, when it comes to how to approach things. We'll do our best to, go over as much as we can, as concisely as we can as well. We don't want this to be too long. Otherwise, Yaku, do you have anything you want to say before we head off for the night?
Mind your bofa.
No. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bofa.